G'day everybody and welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by a 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host Drew Agnew and the doors to episode 193 are open. This week on the show we've got a special Nintendo Direct E3 2021 roundup. My god, it was a banger. It was pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Not too bad. Of course, I've got Bryce DeWitt to talk all about that, and a very special guest, Delfino Jurians. How you going?
Doing pretty great today. I just got off a job interview, so already my heart was racing from that, and then 20 minutes later the direct started. I was just like, oh, I'm so ready to go. How's this gonna play out? What's gonna be announced? Do I even have any guesstimations? Because I wasn't making any guesstimations because everyone was talking Switch Pro. And I'm like, I got nothing to say about the Switch Pro, so I'm not going to talk. But
Switch Pro, full of RAM, not going to be at E3,
Pro.
And it wasn't. So that's all right.
It wasn't.
You knew it wasn't going to happen.
No. So I guess jumping straight into it, guys, what were your initial impressions of the event? Were you happy with it? Are you just not happy with it? Are you going to go and throw your Nintendo Switch at the wall because there's only 10 games announced? And like, I'll tell you what, I need to spend more money than this, so you're going to snap it over your leg? How you feeling, Delfino?
I'm feeling pretty confident in it. Right after it went off, I'm talking with Meta about it, and it was just one after the other. Oh my gosh, do you remember when they had announced this game and this other game? And it was like I had to go back and remember, because there were so many things that each took the cake each time they were announced. It was crazy.
Bryce, what about you, man?
Well, I discussed with you before the show anyway, and like in text, and I sort of said that we already know that they've got tons in the pipeline. I think it's more details that we need more than anything. So with new titles aside and stuff like that, like I knew that we were going to get plenty of news regardless anyway about some stuff that needs following up, even though stuff like Bayo 3 still hasn't been talked about since it first got teased.
It's somewhere.
But, yeah, that's right. But in the end, we also ended up getting, a WarioWare game, which was magnificent, a Metroid game, which is magnificent, a new Mario Party, which I know you're not too keen on, but looks better than the last one to me, and Breath of the Wild 2 stuff, which, I couldn't contain. And I still can't. I'm still looking up theories while we're speaking, so,
Yeah, no. I remember when the sequel was initially announced a couple of years ago at E3, you were just going around looking at all these sort of fan theories and your own theories, and it's just really interesting when you really get into the nitty gritty of it. And there's not too many sort of fandoms we're that nerdy about, but when it comes to the lore of Zelda or any of these other Nintendo franchises, that's when it gets pretty wild. Especially there's some theories out there which is just obviously we thought, oh, well, Zelda might be a playable character. She's obviously adventuring with Link. But as we're going to be talking about in the current trailer we saw for the sequel, Zelda falls away. Poor Zelda. We got to save her again by the seems of it.
It's quite disappointing.
As for me, I enjoyed it. There was sort of a lot of games we already knew about type of thing. And I found myself sort of checking the time. I'm like, all right, we've only got 20 minutes left. We've only got 10 minutes left. Where's
I did
Look at that. Yeah, look, come on.
Yeah.
Cut to the chase.
Where are some of these big hitters? But we got some which we've been asking for a long time. So there's not too many complaints. I probably rate it a 7 or an 8 or something like that. I haven't really thought about what I would rate it with a number, but definitely some big games there like Wario. We've been asking for a WarioWare on Switch since the Switch was announced. It's just a really nice system for it with the Joy-Cons and stuff, and really looking forward to that. Obviously Metroid, we haven't seen Metroid or brand new entry in the Metroid series for 19 years according to Nintendo. I hadn't really thought about it that
19?
much.
19?
Yeah, base Metroid series. Anyway.
Yeah. So I guess that's not including Prime.
Not including
Prime and other M and stuff like that. So that's nuts in just in itself. But Before we go through, we'll go through in sort of chronological order with what happened in the direct. But I guess just to let people know out there, Bryce and I, we're recording this at 4 o'clock in the morning. We're dedicated. God damn it! This is in your feed, fellow Australians, when you wake up. So I hope you enjoy it. Delfino, on the other hand, she's in America, so she is a nice and
I'm
jolly.
at a cozy 14 military 2 p.m. Standard.
Yeah, so look at that. Bubbly, ready to go. Bryce and I will got to try and keep it a bit quiet for our family too. Just hush, hush. Bryce is trying to like contain his Zelda hype, trying not to wake up his kids.
Oh, that'll be fine.
Be right.
I'm more worried about my daughter getting up early thinking that she's going to sneak like ice cream or something at 5:30 a.m. I'm still going to be awake.
Is she a sneaker?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is she?
Sneaky, aww.
Yeah, big time. Like you wouldn't believe.
What, she actually gets up for ice cream?
That
Is that what she sneaks up and gets ice cream?
She's done it before, yeah.
What's the number one flavor of ice cream?
Bryce, what's the number one ice cream?
I just
fell asleep on
vanilla. I like vanilla and adding stuff around vanilla, to be honest.
Oh, like toppings.
Yeah.
You gotta go chocolate. Chocoholic. I am. Let's go with chocolate.
Chocolate.
But there is a brand of ice cream in my area. They got black raspberry chocolate chip. The best.
Sounds good.
It's purple delight.
I'm just living on energy drinks at the moment, so no ice cream for me. That does not mix well. I've had I'm on a Red Bull at the moment. No beers. We would have been asleep 2 hours ago if we were on the beers, Bryce. All right, so let's get into it. So, very first thing, we got a Super Smash Brothers character reveal. How do you pronounce his name? Kazuya? Kazuya from the Tekken series.
Yeah. Kazuya. I'm pretty sure. Yep.
So this is a part of Sakurai's sort of little trip around Japan, getting all of the iconic fighting game characters into his game. It must feel good going around. Personally, for me, when it kind of did nothing for me, but I'm sure it's going to be fun to play in Super Smash Brothers, like most of the characters are. I know, like Fire Emblem characters and stuff, they get poo-pooed when they get announced, but they're fun to play nevertheless. I'm sure the team will be able to translate the Tekken mechanics into Smash Brothers fairly well. But what do you guys think? Does this do anything for you guys? Big Tekken fans or anything like that? Or
I'm not a crazy fighting game fan. I think I had played Tekken before in the arcade, like actually at an arcade machine. And my recollection of it was, dang, this game's cutthroat, because it just takes like 2 solid combos on you and you're completely knocked out. It's like, what the heck? This HP is baby low. But I have a friend who is so excited for this. Shout out to Hans. Hoi hoi Hans. But
hoi hoi.
Hoi hoi. He loves saying that. So I was like, hey, this is good, because Tekken's it's a solid fighter. And once Fatal Fury got in, we've tipped the scales back towards equilibrium by putting Tekken in too. Solid pick. At this point, I don't even know if I'm betting for anybody else in Smash Bros. I'm like, I'll take anybody.
Yeah.
This is a very solid pick. And I'm liking how the Devil Gene is being implemented into those super strong attacks. It'll be interesting to see if it's like got a cooldown. Is it like Joker, where he summons his persona after a while? Or is it going to be just consistent, where you can pull out the double form? Also, the intro cutscene was really, really great, because it's alluding to the PlayStation 1 cutscene where Kazuya drops his dad off the cliff and turns to the camera and gives really awkward smile. So I'm pretty satisfied with this pick. I think it's a good balance and effort.
I am too. Like you said, I'm not too worried about what characters actually come to Smash at this point. I just want something from a notable franchise that will add to Super Smash Brothers, add to sort of the legacy of the roster, and something that's fun to play. So I'm sure Yeah, this is going to be that. It's not from a franchise I'm necessarily excited about, but I know like Bryce and I we've talked about before, like the character we suggested, I think last episode, it's just such a niche character, being Hades from Kid Icarus. So I could imagine the outrage. I think that's half the reason I want that character. But yeah, I reckon that's awesome. Bryce, do you have anything to say about it before we move on?
Yeah, just quick, I suppose. I 100% agree with the trailer thing. It's definitely on brand joke for me, without any sense of doubt. But the other thing I caught in the trailer is the Tekken announcer's also making an appearance.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he says his name in the end there. So like most DLC fighters have gotten like a unique outro of some kind, this one's going to be the same, except it's going to have the Tekken announcer saying Kazuya wins. So that's cool.
Yeah, so that is cool. So we are going to get more information on the 28th of June. It's going to be a 40-minute presentation with Sakurai. And so look forward to that. I assume the character might be coming out that day or around the end of the month as well. We don't have a release date just yet, but you'll be able to catch that at 7 a.m. PT and 10 a.m. ET in the States. So that's going to be pretty cool. It's funny too, because in the actual direct, Sakurai's like, we haven't actually filmed that part at the time he was filming the bit for the direct. I thought that was pretty funny. He's just like...
it's like, I have nothing for you.
I just love how like you can tell that there's like a bit of a script, but he's really sort of just off the top of his own head. He's like, you know what? Yeah, we are gonna have this on the this date. We don't have it planned yet. It comes up on the screen, and we are also going to be talking about this, which I don't know what it is yet. It comes up on the screen. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
It'll be just read the description. Thank you. Bye bye.
Use your eyes, please. Thank you very much. So moving on from that, we got an announcement for a third-party game from Square Enix coming to Nintendo Switch, which is something a lot of people are excited about and were asking for on the Nintendo platforms. That's Life is Strange coming to Switch. So that is the remastered collection of the original series, as well as True Colors, which is a brand new game in the series coming later this year in October. September 10th it's coming out. Which I'm a huge Life is Strange fan. I played it when it came out back in, can't remember what year it was, and even the prequel series as well was absolutely fantastic. One of my probably favorite games. So definitely, if you don't have another platform that plays these games, definitely check them out on Switch. I'm really happy that Nintendo fans will be able to get to play these, but Bryce, you gave Life is Strange a go, you didn't quite get into it, but Delfino, have you tried these games before? Are you interested in them? Do you even know what they are? What's your sort of take on this?
Really?
That's fair enough, yeah.
Thing to call the games is walking simulators, but it's like, nah, not into teen drama.
No,
nah.
You got enough of that in your own life? Sort of drama and all that? Don't have to play it in your video game?
Somewhat. I feel more like my life doesn't simulate teen dramas like it's supposed to. Like, you watch Riverdale and you're like, dang.
Yeah. My
I don't know people who are like this.
My wife's right into that, and I sit down and watch it and be like, yeah, I get sucked into it, but
I can't watch Riverdale because I'm a previous fan of Archie comics and Archie's Weird Mysteries, and I watch it and I'm like, it's all wrong. It's wrong. Why is Jughead like this? Why is he like this? What's going on? Why?
I think it was good to begin with, but it's strayed so far into weird that these days it's too difficult to watch. They did like a whole season on Dungeons and Dragons. It's like
when the D&D campaign goes too far.
Yeah, exactly. And it was sort of like coming off the like Stranger Things hype of like, oh look, Stranger Things is doing D&D. And then everybody got into D&D, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, I guess we better do something D&D too. I've got a cat. Look at it.
Meow meow.
Anyway, yeah, look, I'm not as invested in these games as some other people, which, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that I think they're bad either, though. I think they're very very well written in terms of like how you can handle the game and like how you can shape the story, thanks to a little bit of timey-wimey shenanigans. But it is good to see that it's coming to Switch, because it is something that is bite-sized and can be played sort of like on and off. Very suited for a portable experience. So yeah, good to see it here. Glad all of it's coming up. All of it's coming too, not just, you know, a bite of this and a bite of that.
Yeah, because when the True Colors got announced with the definitive edition of the previous series, a lot of people were like, oh, it's not coming to Switch. Are you serious? So it is a little bit strange. Like, was their decision made after the initial sort of announcement, or were they holding it for later on? It's kind of weird it wasn't in that initial sort of release, because it is coming day and date with the other versions. So it must have been the thing they decided after that it was possible to actually get this thing on it.
I have to ask, as a fan, right? When did you catch that it was Life is Strange in the trailer?
Like as soon as the train tracks came on, but I was like, yeah, because with the announcement, it was animated. I'm like straight away, I was like, Life is Strange. I'm like, oh, it's animated, something different. But then as it kept on going on, as soon as I saw like their legs hanging off the train before it pans up, I'm like, oh, it is Life is Strange. It's just animated. It's just animated for the trailer.
I caught it at their hands when I saw Chloe's tattoo, and I was like,
yeah. When I saw the tattoo of Chloe's hand, it's like, oh, it's definitely Life is Strange. But yeah, it just had that that vibe going on. So yeah, really exciting.
I had I caught that vibe just as soon as there's the train tracks. I'm like, we got another slow game coming. Like Life is Strange, and it was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I called it, but not in the crazy way.
Not the crazy way, just that. Oh, here it is.
Well, not in like there's no way it could be this, and then it is that. And you go, no.
That's the thing too. Like, it was yesterday. I literally pre-ordered True Colors on PlayStation. So I'm like, you know, I'd probably rather play it there anyway, just because it looks better, type of thing. And I don't need. I would prefer to play that on the TV anyway. Personally, that's not a thing I'd probably play in handheld mode. Like I just sit there for, I know it's 2 hours. I lock that down and then I sit in front of my TV and kind of treat it like a TV series. But yeah, I'm glad people can play it on Switch. Another announcement from Square Enix was probably one of the more baffling announcements from the whole sort of direct. So Guardians of the Galaxy, that was shown off at Square Enix's conference yesterday. And it looks great. It looks awesome. I pre-ordered that game on PlayStation as well. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this a go. It's a little bit cheaper than, say, your full price game as well. I think it's $90. And I'll be able to get that price matched and stuff as well. So I pre-ordered that and come here and it's on Switch apparently. I'm like, everyone's sort of like, all right, so how's this going to be running on Switch? And, you know, it looks to be running on Switch and they just say, you know, it's just the standard game. It runs on your Switch. But it wasn't until afterwards where I actually saw a tweet from Nintendo UK. They say that it's Guardians of the Galaxy Cloud Edition. So, okay. So they didn't say anything about that in the direct at all, that it was a Cloud Edition. And no. I reckon that is like a really big point to like gloss over. You can't just miss that it's the Cloud Edition. And I don't know, like who knows? I don't know if there is like two versions where there's like a really poor running version just running natively on Switch, and there is a cloud version as well. I don't think there is. I think it is just cloud version. But yeah, it was a really big sort of point to gloss over on the Switch version, I feel. But I think that changes a lot because, for example, even if we had great internet and that, we can't stream it in Australia. These games don't come to Australia.
No. They're
only sort of in the US
and States.
Yeah, Japan and stuff like that. The big territories with a nice internet. But yeah, I assume you guys don't care, especially with the cloud version point.
No.
When they had said Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, I was thinking, oh, did that Telltale game get revived? About the it's like a Walking Dead type simulator. And I'm like, wait, why does it say Square Enix? Oh, it's totally different.
Yeah. I mean,
what happened?
Apart from the whole cloud version thing and then not telling us, the game looks great. I think it looks fantastic. Looks like a lot of fun. It has the Guardians of the Galaxy humor and all of that. There's like dialogue options you can choose. In the Square Enix presentation, they're actually showing off a fair bit of gameplay where you're trying to make back money, and you basically choose whether you sell Groot or you sell Rocket Raccoon. And like your mission is different depending on who you sell, and have to break out of prison because of that. So it's pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to see how much those decisions sort of impact gameplay and what the battle system's like, because the whole thing is you're playing a Star-Lord, and you can basically control the rest of your team. So I don't know how it is with the D-pad or button prompts or whatever you have you, but looks like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
It's very RPG.
Yeah. There's like
very, very RPG.
Yeah, after a battle, there's like, the whole thing when the team does their victory pose, and the experience bar goes up, and you go up levels and stuff. So yeah, it's very much an RPG, which is really cool as well. So really looking forward to it. This is probably the biggest surprise hit of E3 personally for me, where I'm like, wow, didn't know about this. It's coming out October, and I really want it. Just out of nowhere. I never thought I'd be playing Guardians of the Galaxy again. But yeah, cool.
You are now.
I am now. Whether I like it or not, it's coming. So, all right. So let's talk about Worms Rumble. I glossed over on this one very much, but for anyone who's into Worms, I know Worms is a big sort
popular.
of it's a popular franchise. I believe this game. I believe this is the one that came free to PlayStation Plus on PlayStation 5. So it is on other consoles, but now it's coming to Switch, and apparently you can get a 25% discount if you pre-order it on the Nintendo eShop before it drops on June 23rd. So I'm not sure if this was already announced for Switch or not. I got no idea. But anyway, moving on. Astria Ascending trailer. Now, I can't remember this one. It's a 2D turn-based RPG releasing in September. I can't remember this one at all, to be honest.
I thought it was Crystal Chronicles when it first came on the screen.
Yeah, it did look a bit like that, didn't it? Did that get your hopes up? Or you're like, yes?
Well, it's like, it's not Crystal Chronicles. Oh well, it's that art style inspired, but nope. Square Enix, you let me down.
So they got your hopes up, but when they got your attention, were you like, yo, well, I might give this a go, or is it just like, oh well?
Nah, I was just like, fancy side-scrolling Castlevania type game. Good for it.
Good for it.
I was thinking of Indivisible, honestly. Watch this, I'm like, yeah, I need to get Indivisible. Think about the games.
They shown off Toy Point Campus, which was that was the thing in the direct. I'm sure there's fans looking forward to that. The late Super Monkey Ball got announced as well. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, and
that one actually took me by surprise, because the whole bonus thing was like, this series is getting a new game after so long, and I was like, did that Donkey Kong rumor actually come true? Because it was bananas and coins, but no, it was not coins, it was balls. It's like, I am a little tempted to get Monkey Ball, because we own Monkey Ball 2 on GameCube, and just recently I finally decided to go back and actually finish it, because we always got stuck at World 8. It's like, do I want to buy it again in these super enhanced visuals? Because they're really enhanced. Suddenly the stages are brighter than they were before.
Yeah, like Monkey Ball's, it's always been a fun franchise. I really enjoyed Banana Blitz on the Wii. I thought the motion controls were a lot of fun, sort of tilting the controls and stuff. And Monkey Ball, I forgot what there is one on Switch that came to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One as well. I can't remember the name of that one, but that was fun. I played that on I played it at PAX a couple of years ago.
That was a remaster.
Yeah, it was a remaster. I forgot what it was called though, off the top of my head.
It was Banana Blitz remastered.
Yeah.
Was it Banana Blitz remastered?
Yeah, it was Banana Blitz.
Yes.
Maybe I should go and buy that one. Wait, put it on my wish list, get it on sale. Yeah.
You goof.
Just have this big revelation. Oh my god, that's on Switch? Yeah, I think I did know that, but you know.
It's the game that I played.
It was always there.
I can barely remember my passwords to my accounts, guys, let alone remember Super Monkey Ball games. You know what I mean? Just get off my back, right? Jesus Christ.
Some reporter.
Some reporter.
Yeah.
What about
the other thing, Monkey? The other thing that Monkey Ball Game's packing is all of the mini games from 1 and 2. It's like, oh snap.
Yeah.
The true enjoyment from Monkey Ball 2 is monkey targets, monkey billiards,
Monkey billiards.
monkey baseball. Oh my gosh. It's all in there. Monkey racer. There's a monkey ball racer in that game.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, see, I've got to get one of these monkey ball games because I truly did like my first one was Banana Blitz and I loved it. So yeah, maybe I should give this a look. Especially it's been 20 years, 20-year anniversary. Congratulations, Monkey Ball.
20. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to Mario Party Superstars, and it's a brand new entry in the Mario Party series. It's coming out October 29th. And it's got, what do we got here? We've got 5 boards, over 100 minigames, and online play confirmed. So what?
All the boards are from the N64 games too.
Yeah.
That was a big surprise that they were just I thought it was going to be Super Mario Party 2, but it was a throwback. So I heard they played a little bit of Peach's Birthday Cake song remastered, and it's like, oh my gosh, this needed it. Said it's so different, but it almost I enjoy that they're doing it, but now I'm just sitting here. It feels like throwing a little water into the fire. The fire still burns for more remaking of these boards or just more Mario Party in general.
Yeah.
A Mario Party board maker would be astronomical.
Yeah.
It'd be like Super Mario Maker.
Yeah. I don't want to be a party pooper here, guys, but like with Super Mario Party, I bought it for $80. I'm like, and I played it a little bit. Like a few, we played at PAX with Buddy Watson. We were at the bar, and it was like a lot of fun. We took off the Joy-Cons, we did that. Bryce and I had like a real short couple of games, and I played with like Seamus and stuff when he came over, but really didn't play it that much. I think that might just say a lot about my friend's situation. It's a bit sad. And 2020 didn't help either. Didn't have too many people over, and they just added online. So I guess better late than never. But I don't know. I just really don't feel compelled to spend $80 on another Mario Party. Like they've really got to sort of impress us with this one.
Super Mario Party definitely. A friend brought it over. My sister and I played it with her. It doesn't feel as engaging as previous ones do. It's a little too clean. It's hard to describe. It's less about a party, more like a tabletop board game.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is a party. It's a party. I think the minigames definitely, they still had oomph to them. Like there's the photo hogger minigame where your goal is to shove everybody out of the way and you try and get to be the biggest one in the picture. There's fun minigames like that. And this minigame pack is also doing what Top 100 did and bring back old minigames. But it's actually coming with boards this time, so it's not just the minigames. Because everyone was so excited for that one, and then they got the game and realized, oh, it's actually more fun when the minigames came between the boards and not just on their own.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
And like one of the big problems with Super Mario Party as well was when the Switch Lite got announced, the big conversation around that was just like the Joy-Cons can't come off, so you can't play Super Mario Party unless you go and buy a set of Joy-Cons. Whereas this, they actually shown that it could be played on the Switch Lite, which makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
It'd be weird if they didn't do that. So you can play it just Switch handheld mode. So there'll be a bit more variety as far as control options. You're not just stuck with a sideways Joy-Con, which is good.
Yeah.
So for this, sorry, Bryce.
Can I be safe in assuming that more or less your disexcitement for this is that you purchased Super Mario Party and got half the
Didn't
product?
like it.
Was that sorry?
Because this is I said, okay. Am I under the assumption that the reason you're not too excited about this announcement is because you purchased Super Mario Party and got half a product in comparison to what this is going to be? Because this feels like a far more full product than what Super Mario Party is. That's why I'm a little more interested.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I personally don't feel like I got that much bang for buck, and also like the thing is with Mario Party with me as well, like they can make it as good as they possibly could, and I don't know how much I'd play it anyway. They got online now, so that's great. So maybe that will help. We might actually start playing it in the House of Mario Discord or whatever have you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, for that reason alone, I probably will look into it if we get 4 people together and play online like every fortnight or something. That'd be a great sort of way to just muck around and catch up. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. Anyway,
I feel like with this Mario Party, we're entering the era that Mario Kart did in the Wii version, which is revisiting old tracks with revisiting old boards.
yeah.
So maybe with future Mario Parties, we'll get like 3 new boards and 3 throwback boards.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Maybe. I'm just making up what could happen. I have no idea.
It sounds like this one, they're just going all old boards. It's just like, oh, well, you don't like what we do anymore, so just we'll just put the old stuff in there.
I mean, that's kind of what they just need to do, though. Like, the issue is like Mario Party 2 to Mario Party, I'd like to say probably 5 were considered their best successes, right?
Yeah.
So obviously they were doing something a lot more right back in those days than they have been since 6 and onwards. So they really need to look back at those games and go, what exactly were we doing right that we're screwing up now and have for the last like 5 or 6 iterations of Mario Party, which is almost, double what it was from beginning to good and then leading into bad. So they've almost had 50% good games.
Wait. Where do you say they started going wrong?
About Mario Party 6.
I contest that 7 is loads of fun.
I never got around to 7, but
I grew up with 7. That was my first GameCube game.
I grew up with 2.
Which one's the first one on the Wii? I thought Wii was 7.
8.
It was 8, was
No.
it?
8.
It was 8.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was 8 and 9. Yeah, the 9 came out with like
8
in the
had a
car.
lot of recycled boards from 7.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like nearly every single board was a recycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, recycled content.
Yeah, that kind of sucks because like the Wii was like the perfect system for Mario Party, and they kind of just missed the point.
They dropped the ball.
They did,
They're
yeah.
like, we have 8.
Oh, well.
Oh, and here's 9. Just way later. It's like it's too late. And
Here's
then 10, which is the most biased board game. If you have the gamepad, you have won because Bowser minigames are so biased in Bowser's favor. It's not even funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never played.
Not
I never
fun.
got the Wii U one. I don't know. I'm just not a Mario
Nah, me
Party
neither.
guy since the GameCube. Like Bryce and I, we had a lot of fun playing the GameCube ones and all that. But I don't know. Ever since they're just sort of, I don't know. I feel bad. I feel like I should enjoy them. I feel like a party pooper. Come to the party, like, put those beers down, boys. Have some water. Bloody hell. You look a bit dehydrated. Go to bed. I'm like the old man coming out. So this was a really exciting one. So this is, I think it was rumored a little bit, but a brand new 2D Metroid game coming to Nintendo Switch, Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
And when I heard the name, I'm like, oh my god! So Metroid Dread is a cancelled DS game from the early 2000s, and it was meant to be a sequel to one of the Game Boy Advance. It was a sequel to Metroid
Zero
Fusion.
Mission?
Zero Mission or Fusion? I can't remember which one, but it
looks like Fusion,
yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, it
just
probably is.
judging based on the
think
suit
it is.
changes.
yeah. So it's a cancelled sequel to one of those games. So just seeing the name come up again, it's like, oh my god! Like as a Nintendo fan, sort of hearing about this name, this named Metroid game coming back, it's like pretty crazy. But the actual game itself looks really cool.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, like
It does.
a bit more of like a cinematic sort of angle, a bit like Samus Returns that had pretty cinematic sort of finishes and stuff in that as well. But when the trailer started, it just says Metroid, but it says Metroid 5. So the 5th game in the 2D Metroid series. But it is funny when we're sort of just before they mentioned that Metroid Prime 4, they're still working on it. It's all good. But then afterwards, like, oh, Metroid 5. It's too hard. We'll just make the 5th one. The 4th one isn't working.
It very much comes across to me that they're very apologetic and they're like, we're really sorry that Metroid Prime 4 has taken so much time. We made an entirely different Metroid game in that time period, and it's coming out in 3 months. We hope this satiates your desires. Just for a bit. Just for a little bit. It's like, yes, it does. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I
that,
was impressed with
go
it. The
ahead.
way the camera was moving, it reminded me a lot of not Zero Mission, of Fusion, where you're getting chased by SAX, the virus that infects your suit. I
Mm.
think that the new Emmy robot is really calling back to that, where you are getting chased and you have to escape it over and over, and when you get caught, you get killed. You die in a big cinematic finisher. It's brutal.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I haven't played too many 2D Metroid games. Metroid's a little bit of a blind spot for me, but looking forward to playing this. I didn't get through all of Samus Returns. I bought it on 3DS and I sort of just didn't play my 3DS that much, so I was playing Switch, so it got overlooked a little bit. I really do wish that game maybe came to both at the same time, but it doesn't matter now. We're getting our 2D Metroid game. Sure, we'll get into it, have some fun, and that comes out on October 8th, and some more gameplay is getting shown in August. So stay tuned for that if you're keen for some more gameplay before we see that.
And also the amiibo. It's getting
Of course.
amiibo.
Yeah, so getting some amiibo as well. It looks really cool. I love the Samus amiibo in this, in sort of like the charge shot position.
Yep. I'm really keen for this myself because and something that I pointed out while we were watching it live on our sort of own, which by the way, if anybody was watching, sorry, but we weren't allowed to co-stream. Nobody was allowed to co-stream. It was kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But I mean, that aside, like just watching it, and I think the thing that excites me most about whenever I see a new Metroid game, honestly, is seeing new threats.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you know, Metroid is built around the basis of like, hey, look, there's some, you know, natural wildlife or what have you, and then, you know, you've got your
Parasitic
space.
life form.
Exactly, yeah. And then, you know, you've got your space pirates and then your usual big bosses like Ridley or Kraid or what have you. But I think like this whole stalker attitude that is almost a la Dark Samus in its own way, but it is kind of like a recognized new threat that, you know, has an upper advantage against Samus that's not just, I guess, a copy of Samus, I guess, being like the only thing that can take her down is herself, whereas this is like these things will fucking morph their entire bodies to come for you at like high speeds. And I'm kind of just like, this is cool. I really like this. And it kind of suggests like that these constructs are made for defense, which, you know, they almost kind of look like Trace from Hunters, which is very intriguing. So it makes me wonder if it's like centered around like Trace's people, or, you know, what have you, and whether they're gonna sort of explore more into those races that were introduced in Hunters. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see it. The title is very cool, and I'm pretty keen to pick it up in October, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I love how the enemy is sort of not, I guess, like inspired by Alien, where it's always sort of stalking you. You're always dreading it coming after you. So,
But Tiss.
Yeah, well, that's why it's called Metroid Dread.
But Tiss, yeah.
But Tiss, yeah. All right, so they talked about Just Dance 2020. Very cool, very cool. Has Katy Perry, Beyonce in it. Has 50 new songs. Very exciting. I know Bryce is just like, he's got the pre-order. He had the pre-order about 5 months ago, so it's all good.
California girls. Yeah.
Bryce, you just nailed that.
That is a very old Katy Perry song.
You just got us copyrighted.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Good job.
A game called Cruise and Blast, which is Cruise and Blast. It's a racing game with 30 tracks, colorful visual design, and even dinosaurs. It's a Switch console exclusive, and it's coming out this fall. Very cool. It's like, a lot of these games look great, but I was just sort of like, all right, where's the Nintendo games? You know, I'm like, where are these Nintendo games? That's what I'm sort of busting here for. So when these announcements came up, like Cruise and Blast, it's cool, but come on, get rid of it. You know, I feel bad for that because there's developers out there that work very hard on this type of thing and very happy that they're featured in the E3 Nintendo Direct. But that's how I felt. So
you're just like next.
Yeah.
Well,
get out of the way.
I don't know. That one kind of stood out to me because the first thing I was thinking was cruising around the world and like Nintendo 64. So I took a second take when they said Cruisin' Blast. I'm like, cruising?
Cruising?
Excuse me? Like, that's a familiar name in Nintendo's history. I'm like, I played a decent chunk of that game. I'm like, is this developed by the same people? I have to look into it because like it does look like, I mean, Cruising Around the World looked very different to what this is, obviously being on the Nintendo 64, but yeah, I've never seen anybody use the name Cruisin' in another Nintendo published title.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see as to whether it's from the same studio or what. Who knows?
Yeah, I've definitely got to go back and look at some of these trailers without sort of the whole thing. Like, all right, come on, because
Nintendo, give me Nintendo.
Yeah, because the whole time I'm just like, it's 40 minutes checking my watch. That's sort of where I was at.
I don't care. It's TikTok.
And like, especially with games like this, like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, you know, it's great that it's coming to Switch, but it is a port. It is something we already have access to on another console if you really want to play it. So it's cool that it's coming to Switch. There's a lot of great Dragon Ball games from Bandai Namco, so it's great that we've got another one on there. I don't know that it got reviewed that well when it came out. Was it early this year? No, late last year sometime. I don't know. It doesn't matter when it came out. It's coming out soon on Switch. We got sort of more information on Mario Golf Super Rush. Not too much more information. They sort of just re-emphasize stuff. It comes out in a little bit over a week at the time of recording this. So that's a game we're looking.
We got the happy confirmation that we'll be getting updates alongside the game because it was like are we gonna? And it's yes, and golfing in New Donk City is coming soon.
Yes, that looks really cool. And that is a great point to bring up too. Like we do have the confirmation that there will be new characters, there will be new courses and stuff, much like Mario Tennis got, which Mario Tennis got great support, and people didn't really care. People were sort of, over that. So if Mario Golf is good enough to stick with, hopefully the DLC actually matters a lot more.
Well, the ultimate problem with Mario Tennis right out the gate is that its content in general was like lackluster at launch for what it was worth.
Yeah.
So it was in sort of a scenario where they couldn't do much to revive it, even if they wanted to. I don't think, like most people, especially me, like I got through most of the campaign, but I was just like, why am I even playing this? I'm like, I can't see myself playing it in the foreseeable future. And then it took them a few months, I think, to come out with the first drop of content. For people who actually enjoy the mechanics of Mario Tennis enough to play it competitively or what have you, and like getting the characters early by playing competitively, it was cool. But you can't assume that competitive nature for Mario Tennis was going to keep people sticking around like constantly. Whereas Mario Golf, I don't think will face that issue. I think leaderboards and stuff like that would be cool for multiplayer, but I also don't think it's necessary for that game to be successful, considering the amount of party aesthetic that it's sort of got to it.
Yeah.
And the additional content that sort of comes out afterwards, there's only going to be a bonus on top of that. So
yeah,
it could be interesting,
At very least, we get to play golf as King Bob-omb. That's pretty cool in itself.
That's right.
So he's taking his morning constitutional to go play some golf.
He's finally come down from top of Bob-omb Battlefield. He's like, oh, come down here.
Lofty high peaks.
Dun, 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 dun.
Trying
to throw him around the course.
I've done that mission in Mario 64 so many times. I love King Bob-omb. It's so fun.
You throw him in the sand pit, and he comes flying back onto the golf course like he does if you throw him off the mountain. Just takes like a really big jump into the air and lands back on the course.
Get rid of me.
I just want to see him explode. That'll be a big explosion.
What does your cat think about Mario Golf?
Yeah, what does your cat think, Bryce?
What she think?
Uninterested.
No, couldn't
Dun
care.
dun dun.
Couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Don't blame her.
Looking adorable though.
It is a cute cat, except
Cutie. Cutie pootie.
oh yeah, okay. I was like, there's a little bit of a bald patch near his ear, and then I'm, what the hell is that? And like, I just remembered he got a dag in there, and so somebody's cut it out. Mm.
Aw.
Oh well.
Well, there you go.
Anyway.
There you go. So next up, we got some bit more information about Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin. So a bit more shown. This game is coming out relatively soon on July 9th. So not too far away.
Looks good.
Yeah, they've just shown off some more stuff, including like the crafting and battle system, all that type of stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It looks like a really nice looking RPG running on Switch. I said to Bryce, I'm like, I really wish Pokemon looked like this because this game is stunning, just in the way it works, just with the turn-based battles and everything. We don't have to harp on that point much, but this game looks great. I'm really looking forward to it, even as like not like a massive Monster Hunter fan, but someone who wants to be. Now, Bryce, you said before, like you're looking for an RPG. This game looks nice, and you're pretty keen for it too.
Yeah, and that's kind of saying that with the stuff like Bravely Default 2, which I still haven't picked up yet. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I want a unique experience, not one that I've had before. I never played the first Monster Hunter Stories, so this kind of sits on my shelf as like this could work out for me, sort of thing. So yeah, it's definitely on the list anyway.
Yeah. What about you, Delfino? You're yawning. You can't yawn. It's only the afternoon over there.
I am sorry. Your drowsiness is infecting me too.
We've got people listening to this just falling asleep at work. Oh, God.
No. Not for me. Not that Monster Hunter. If I am going to pick up one, it would be the newest one, Rise, and try out the Hunting Horn, because that one looks
Hunting
fun
Horn
to
is
play with.
overpowered as hell.
It looks so much fun. You go in, you carry the team and yourself to victory. I don't know. Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is a concept always aggravates me because you're chipping away at this giant enemy monster and you work so hard and then you lose it all at the end and you're like, no, why? Or you beat it after so much time and you're like, didn't give me what I wanted. Gotta go find another one now. Like, it takes so long.
Yes, it does take.
Arduous.
Everything takes time. It's a bit too much time for my liking. Don't have that much time at all. But speaking of taking its bloody time, Bryce, 4 years we've been saying these Joy-Cons, they're fun to waggle around. Back in the Wii, we had some smooth moves involving Wario, and we finally got Wario on Nintendo Switch. Got announced. We had sort of an inkling that we were going to get a WarioWare just through some surveys Nintendo put out to random people with a My Nintendo account, asking how much would you pay for WarioWare? And that is because they were releasing a goddamn new WarioWare. WarioWare Get It Together is coming September 10th to Nintendo Switch, and this would be my favorite announcement with a release date at this Direct. Been wanting a WarioWare for ages, and this one looks really great. Having a bunch of mini games that sort of utilize the motion controls and the Joy-Cons, and also sort of utilize the two-player aspect of Nintendo Switch as well. Being able to have like co-op mini games working together to beat the mini games. Back in the Wii, with Smooth Moves, there was like some party modes when you're versing one another and stuff, but never like two play in the exact same micro game, which is really awesome. So finally we're getting it. Bryce, I think we're going to have some fun doing like game nights and multiplayer nights. And some let's plays and just all the stuff of WarioWare. Is going to go nuts with this game. But just as I was talking, I'm like, does this game have online? Because this would be a great online game as well if they put some.
That is also what I was thinking when you had mentioned it. It's like, does it?
So probably not.
Could. What? Why not?
Probably not, unfortunately. If they don't say.
I will say the whole gimmick with this game that you're actively on the screen and controlling Wario from there. I was just a smidgy bit disappointed. I'm like, oh, we're not going to get smooth moves, like weird Joy-Con things. But also, it's like you mentioned earlier with the Nintendo Switch Lite. imagine not being able to unplug your Joy-Cons. You
True.
and you can't do that, so you would just
Yeah.
need the control stick in that case. I'm liking how it seems like you can pick which character you want to play each micro game with. I say each. Like you play the whole bundle when you're playing together, and each one moves around the stage differently or affects things differently. Like they were showing off with the tree shaking one. Some you run into the tree with, but others you got like a tractor beam with Orbulon. 18 volt had some weird like electro waves. But each one, there might be a tier list of WarioWare Get It Together characters to run around the stage with.
Oh, you know that's
could-
going to happen.
I can
They're
see it happening.
definitely going to have competitive WarioWare speedrunning tier list with like, yeah, it's going
Yeah.
to it'll
Bros-
happen in some weird world.
Bryce and I would play as Jimmy and Timmy, I reckon. What do you? Yeah.
That's all it needs to be, right?
Is Timmy coming back? Maybe. I noticed from WarioWare Gold, Lulu was in there. I'm like, yes!
Yeah.
Bring Lulu back.
Hmm.
Get her in. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. And honestly, it's perfect for my sister and I, because when WarioWare Gold was coming out, we were fighting over it much like we're fighting over Metopia right now. Where it's just like, I want to play it. Stop playing it. You've been hogging it for hours. And just, no, I don't get breaks. Just let me have it. Let me play for 15 more minutes. Of course, you never do. But there's no fighting over the game anymore because it's 2-player.
Yeah, until you
Play
get to
together.
the until you get to the single player games. Like, all right, now it's my time. It's my time, my alone time.
Why is it your time? I carried you through all those micro games.
I was
that.
the victorious one.
I was the winner.
So this is being co-developed
fine.
by Intelligent Systems as well. It says it at the bottom of in the small text on the direct. So there you go.
Well, now we know what Insys is up to. Then
Yeah.
that's really strange.
They're also up to Fire Emblem Heroes shenanigans.
Yeah, but do we count that? I mean, I
Vaguely.
I have not touched it in so long that I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been keeping up with it. I threw my phone behind me. But I've been keeping up with it. We're currently halfway through the 5th book, which is year 4 of gameplay. Yep.
I mean, Dragalia Lost is like without.
I've been behind on Dragalia, but Dragalia is just the better freemium game overall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm behind on Dragalia as well, but Dragalia is the best mobile game they've got on the market.
Yeah.
I find it really hard to go back to Fire Emblem after being spoilt so much by Dragalia Lost, and then
spoiled rotten.
And I had the audacity to open Mario Kart Tour the other day, and I just about groaned as soon as I opened it. I'm like, I thought, I'll have these bonuses to collect. I'll be able to do some rolls, maybe get a character. No, they're not giving out
cards.
Jack. They're not giving out anything, and I'm like,
get cards.
I'm like, I have no motivation to play your game. Like at all, Nintendo. I'm sorry, but Mario Kart on a mobile game is not enough to sell me. I'm like playing I'm like playing online, and I'm like trying to like secure first place. And as soon as I get into first place, somebody that's got like the right car for the right track and the right paraglider,
and they get
the
more
right
items than you,
and they get
that
fucking
bullshit.
everything. Oh my god, it is so stupid, and I'm just like this. I'm like, this is crap. I'm like, you can't. Ugh.
It's nigh unforgivable.
I'm so annoyed.
Video where he's talking about shiny gold dry Bowser, and he's like, the gold is symbolic to how Mario Kart sold out and became a gacha game. It keeps bringing it up through the video that why'd Mario Kart have to become a gacha game?
It had absolutely no reason to, and it did.
It did. Well, they knew people would spend the money on it. That's the thing, is that they immediately came out with the gold pass. Give Faye a little credit. It took them 3 years to be like, oh, get the Faye pass, please. Yeah. But Mario Kart came out the door saying, buy our membership.
And Fire Emblem was...
no.
Fire Emblem was criticized more for it too, which
Right.
doesn't make a lot of sense.
I think because what Fire Emblem was doing was it was hiding quality of life improvements behind the gold pass. So instead of just boosting the stats of old characters who have been outdated, it was like, well, you have to buy our pass and then you can do that.
Yeah, they had
Screw you.
They had 200cc under the gold pass. I'm like, tell you what, you keep that 200cc under that gold pass,
you can
please.
keep that to yourself.
I don't want anything to do with that on a mobile phone. Thank you very much. 200cc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Content locked behind a fucking pass, though. Like, if you want the opportunity to play 200cc, which is a little bit faster Mario Kart, you better be willing to shell out a bit of money, like, you know, $12 a month.
A month.
Yeah,
it's fucking stupid.
I tell you what, DNA, you're a great mobile studio because you've made me very uninterested in one of my favorite series.
DNA they're getting spotty. Pokemon Masters, when it had its first year anniversary, everyone was like, this is going great, but it's like they've kind of lapsed. Yeah. And the big reason for it is that they refuse to lower the rarity of things in their gacha games. Because usually what happens is you have a ton of shiny 5 stars. And eventually there become so many that you take a section of old 5 stars and you demote them to that you can get them easier, or you just lower the bar. And the new high point is just full of new 5 stars. DNA hasn't gotten wind of that, and their 5-star pool is absolutely overpowering. Insane, and it's gotten to the point in Pokemon Masters where I already have maxed out every single 3 and 4 star, but I can't stop getting them, and there's no new ones being added. The only things being added are those elusive 5 stars that you never get. So the pool's just stagnating. It's getting mold. It's getting filmy. Getting plankton's growing, bacteria overpowering the pool.
Need to
Who's gonna clean the pool?
Need to leave the pool, I think. Go and find a
Just
different
leave the pool. I check into the pool every day for handouts and then I leave.
Yeah, Pokemon Masters, that's something.
I like it in concept, but it's so hard to be on your A game for that game.
Yeah. I like that they write the trainers, like give them dialogue, make them interact, but everything around it, I'm like, nah, I'm right.
Nope.
All right, so we got a game for you, Delfino, which I think you're going to give us all the information on. But Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming out November 12th. So the rumors were pretty much right. I think the leak was like the 11th. So that might have been the 11th in Japan, and the 12th
November.
So pretty much right anyway. So what do you think about this trailer?
It's looking very engaging and exciting because it's got elements from Shin Megami Tensei 4 where you don't just walk around in a dungeon and suddenly you get spawned by a mob as happened in old RPGs. Instead, they'll run up to you, but here the area is more expanded because you're stuck on the 3DS. There's only so many 3D modeled cityscapes you can make, but it's looking a lot different. It also reminded of Blasted Tokyo from Shin Megami Tensei 4. It's looking pretty interesting, and we're also infusing some Digital Devil Saga moments where essentially you walk into this weird Tokyo and the only way you can survive is by becoming not half demon, but you are wearing demon skin like you did in Digital Devil Saga. So it's turning into that. The gameplay seems to be the same. I have no idea if Hama and Muto are as they were in the past, or if they've been rightfully changed to damage-only attacks and not insta-kill, where you run around early game and something just walks up to you and goes, "You're dead." You lose all your progress in the past 2 hours because they put save points so far from each other. But
I hate
it's looking it's looking beautiful. It's looking very engaging. Of course, demon fusion, talking to demons, that's all there from the past. It's looking very promising, considering we've been waiting for this for 4 years.
Yeah, like this was a game.
Looking
This was one of the
mighty
first
good.
Switch games to get announced, like full stop.
Mhm.
Like it's been a long time, so I'm really happy. Like you and Meta in the Discord are finally going to get this game.
Meta's going nuts.
Yeah, he's gone nuts. He is, yeah. He's such a weeb. But I think
Truly.
we're all nerds and weebs here, so it's all good.
Hmm.
Weebs in the best way. I think weeb's a compliment. Don't worry about that. I don't want to offend anyone out there. I'm so sorry.
Uh-oh.
I guess speaking of weebs, Danganronpa Switch collection is coming later this year. And when I was looking at this trailer, I'm like, I thought Danganronpa was already on Switch. Danganronpa was it was a Vita exclusive back when the Vita was a current handheld, and a lot of people absolutely love the series. There's lots of fans from that, and the game's got ported to PlayStation 4 and PC, I think. And I always thought they were on Switch. I was sort of under the impression that they were on Switch, but this is an RPG where you reside in a school with a dark secret, as you have to uncover the culprit behind a mysterious murder. An additional to the core game is a board game spin-off with other games in the collection also available to purchase individually. So, so this is like a bit of a spin-off with the collection here. So cool. I'm happy that this is on Switch. Like I said, I thought it was on Switch, but here it is. Actually on Switch for fans of the series. This is one I will pick up if it's cheap one day. Do you guys have any familiarity with the Danganronpa series?
I know of Danganronpa. I've seen all the stories be told of it. And honestly, the pull for Danganronpa is 90% its story. So when you already know it, it's like, I'm not going to get this. It's not so much, people do compare it to Ace Attorney because you go through mock trials somewhat. It's like Ace Attorney just feels more personal, like you should play it. When this one's just more like watching the screen and just seeing it all happen. So if you've seen it all before, you're like, I don't need to buy this. It's fine without me.
It's fine without me.
So it's a visual novel, and a lot of them sort of lend to the same era of like, you're gonna experience the story and that's what you're gonna get. And unlike games like previously mentioned, Life is Strange, it kind of is just that. It's dialogue boxes only. There's nothing else around it that's sort of doing anything else. And like people go to it for its story as a result.
Mm-hmm.
And as somebody that hasn't experienced the story, I mean, it's on my list, but like right now I'm not thinking about playing a visual novel of any kind. So I'm kind of just going to leave it to the wind for the moment and see if maybe later on down the line I'm brave enough to pick it up and try and get through a few. But yeah,
it's definitely a series I want to get to eventually. So now that it is just one big package, I think that's great. So when I have the time and the means to go and spend the money, I'll it's there for when I want it. So Bryce, we got a Wii U port. You're expecting Xenoblade Chronicles X. That's the Wii U port you're holding out for still.
Not yet.
But no, that's not coming quite yet. Monolith Soft was nowhere to be seen at this direct, so who knows? It might be in the wing, ready to come next week. Who knows, Bryce?
I feel like tuned. Monolith is working extra hard to help with.
That'd have to be.
Breath of the Wild. They're working overtime there.
Yeah,
they definitely
have to be.
So Fatal Frame, Madden of Blackwater is coming later this year. No release date.
You are tied. Maiden of Blackwater.
Maiden, yeah. Maiden of Blackwater, as Bryce said. Thank you very much for the correction, Bryce. But so this was a Wii U game that utilized the Wii U gamepad as like the camera, where you could see ghosts on the gamepad screen to be able to interact with them and stuff. I never played it on Wii U. We played it at PAX, like a demo before it came out. I thought it was quite cool, but didn't pick up the game itself. But I don't necessarily feel more tempted with the Switch version per se. I think it was actually thought the utilization of the gamepad on the Wii U was absolutely fantastic. So seeing it on Switch, just playing it like any other game, it's kind of a little bit less interesting in some ways. But yeah, Fatal Frame, it's always been a series that I wanted to get into. Just hearing like all of the wacky uses of how they played with the player with the GameCube version as well. Like it's really, really quite an interesting series. So I would like to check this out eventually. This is very much a wish list game if it ever goes on sale. It's published by Nintendo, so might not, but it's not necessarily like a heavy hitting series either. So it might go on sale eventually. That's how I look at it anyway. Are you guys interested in this, whether it is on sale or at launch? Or
It's too spooky for
too spooky
me.
for you? Yeah. Not into your scary games?
No.
Fair enough.
I've got enough fears in real life. I can't.
Yeah. Ghosts for attacking you. Yeah. Won't help that.
Cicada ghosts attacking me, getting caught in my hair.
Yeah.
I'd rather play it as a Wii U experience because that was like that's how it was intended.
Yeah.
It's not really like again Xenoblade Chronicles X, where like a lot of the Wii U exclusive features could just be replaced with a menu, like placing nodes and stuff like that on X. But like the whole draw is you are using both screens in order to accomplish something. So it is kind of just like, well, if you want to play a Fatal Frame game, you can, and it's on the Switch, and you can do it. But I mean, I have a Wii U here. They'll just play it on that. I'm sure a copy is cheap enough.
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough. But Bryce, you've got we got a announcement from Activision, which of a game that you love very much. You gave 10 out of 10 when you reviewed the game.
I did.
So Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 is coming to Nintendo Switch. And you know, it looks pretty great from the gameplay they shown. Obviously, it doesn't have the same fidelity and all that it's PlayStation and Xbox brethrens have, but yeah, it doesn't need to. I think this is a great game to have as a handheld game, and hopefully it all holds up well enough in a docked mode. With that, hopefully it's at least 30 frames and what you might expect from something like this, especially with like skateboarding. If it drops under 30 frames, it's going to be a bit janky and a bit hard to pull off tricks and stuff. But really great. This has come to Switch. For Activision made the effort to bring it. So you cat. Are you going to pick it up again, type of thing? Are you keen enough to be like, yes, get it on Switch again, or?
Yeah, I wouldn't have any second doubts. I would probably wait for it to go on sale, but the issue with Tony Hawk's as a series for the longest time has been that they haven't been able to nail something that feels like a Tony Hawk game since Thug 2. Like it has been, and that was.
What's that acronym mean?
Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
Okay.
So Thug 2, I think, was 2007. It has been a very long time since they've been able to replicate it so well that it kind of just fell to obscurity. And then you had Tony Hawk 5, which was garbage. You had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD, which was a game that released in 2012, and that was absolutely abhorrent and terrible, and nobody should ever play it. And then you had a bunch of gimmick games like Tony Hawk Ride and stuff like that. But the thing is you could go back to a Tony Hawk game from the Nintendo 64 PS1 era, play it, and you would still get an enjoyable experience today because it is just an arcadey experience. It doesn't need like any flash systems or anything like that to sort of pull off a fun, successful high score game, which is exactly what it needs to be. But with this remaster, as I sort of mentioned in my review, not only did they take the first two games but add in like some of the stuff that makes chaining combos like reverts and manuals and put them in the game, but they also managed to capture the essence of those two games perfectly. Like in their brand new form, they look fantastic. The soundtrack that was back from Jesus, how long ago? Late 90s, I suppose. That's mostly intact with a few additions in there. It is the definition of a perfect remake, to be completely honest. Like when most people think remakes and stuff like that, and you get things, you often get things that you don't want, you know. I think what was it? Was it Trials of Mana? I think it was Trials of Mana, right? That got remade, or maybe that's the one that's coming out. One before
Trials
it, and
got the big upheaval where suddenly it got 3D visuals, just the whole remodel. I think
Yeah.
Secrets of Mana is the one you might be
yeah,
thinking of.
and it was one of the two anyway, and it was like people were disappointed, and you know, that was sort of understandable. If something doesn't really capture the same essence of what it did before, then what exactly is the point? Like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D did it perfectly as well. You know, those games looked pretty damn good scaled up, even if they were on the small screen. So technically they're not, but they are. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, those games looked awesome when they come out, and they still look awesome today on a 3DS screen, to be completely honest. And I would call them, with the additional features they add, like gyroscopic aiming and stuff like that. I would call them, you know, perfect remasters, because they do nothing but improve on the game while also retaining the same essence. And Tony Hawk's 1+2 does that. So
That's good.
it, like, if you haven't played it and you're interested in playing it and you're an old time Tony Hawk fan, you're going to love it. And on Switch, it's going to be a good portable experience. But if you've never understood what the hype of Tony Hawk's is about as well, it's also the best game that you could pick up in 2021, and experience what everybody is exactly so hyped about. I bought the game myself, and I requested to write a written review for Dash Gamer, and he's like, yeah, go for it, man. So I wrote a written review off my own money. I gave it a perfect 10. It's perfect. Like it's a perfect remaster, or remake, whichever you want to call it. So seeing it on Switch, I'm very happy.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Play it. It's good.
Maybe I
It's
will.
really good. Good. Do it. It's really good.
So this is a big one. A lot of people were looking forward to as well. It got announced at the Ubisoft Forward event the day before, but even hours before that Ubisoft event, it actually got leaked, which is really sort of
By
disheartening.
Nintendo.
Yeah, by Nintendo themselves through their eShop listing. So
Oops.
really, really quite sad for the developers. But anyway, we know about it now. We've got an in-depth look at Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. And so people have been asking for this sequel to Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle that came out in 2017. And man, it looks great. So basically in this game, you're no longer just in the Mushroom Kingdom. You are exploring planets throughout the galaxy. You've got a spaceship. You've got all of your friends with you, including Luigi, Rabbid Mario, Rabbid Peach, Peach herself, and a new character that we saw in the trailer, Rabbid Rosalina, who's like some kind of unmotivated, kind of just depressed teenager.
Just
Rosalina.
lazy bookworm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like Mario and the crew, like, oh, we've got to go off and investigate this new villain that's been introduced. And she's just like, oh, and she just like sort of sobs down and slinks out of a chair.
Slides out of, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like really, really quite funny. So I just love like Ubisoft and like Ubisoft Paris, who are the main developers on this game. They put so much just personality into Mario. Like
They are full of love. That's If I had to describe an adjective, I would say two adjectives for Mario and Rabbids chaotic love because they're like, you really? We can work on this? And they're like, just don't let us down. And they're like, we'll never let you down because they got great like music, the theming. When they put effort into those 3D models, like I always think of whenever you beat the mid boss in World 1 with that's the piranha plant boss and how beautifully animated that all is. It's like, oh my gosh, this game is just made with love for both Rabbids and for Mario. And I feel like when it was coming out and it was announced, everyone's like, okay, we can't wait for this. This is going to be terrible. It's going to be great. Yeah. It came out and everybody's like, well, now what do we do? This game's great. It's really good. And it's hard. Like, actually hard to play. What's going on? So we've all got happy hopes. A big departure from the normal XCOM gameplay is that there's no more grid-based combat. It's all about like range. So you still hide behind places, but when you go to attack, you're attacking more of an area than a specific tile. And I'm interested to see how they transition it away. Will we get more vertical? Because vertical combat was already important in Mario and Rabbids, getting the higher ground, tubes, all this kind of stuff. So I wonder if the Lumas are going to really play into it, because we got elemental Lumas now, like fire, ice, electric. Not sure how that's going to go, but I'm really excited for this one too. I can't wait to see. They got all sorts of new weapons. We're not just on guns anymore. We got the parasol hammer, bow and arrow, dualies. Mario's got dualies.
Yeah, I think Luigi with the bow and arrow looks especially cool. That's the one that caught my attention.
I feel like they're taking a lot of hints from Splatoon 2's to completely original weapon designs and just going nuts with them. I'm ready for this one. Yeah. And they already announced DLC is coming for it, so of course. It's a little annoying when games are being produced and they're like, oh, and we're already making additional content. It's like, why not just put that content in the first game?
Yeah.
But
this is Ubisoft, remember? Like if you watch their Ubisoft forward, like with Far Cry, they shown off like a season pass. That game is not coming out until like October. Like they're already showing off the season pass and what you get with it. It's like, all right, calm the hell down. Yeah.
Come on, guys.
And that is kind of normal throughout the gaming industry, but with Nintendo, typically, obviously, Hyrule Warriors, they got like the DLC pack like announced a bit later.
Toy influence, so that one not so much.
Yeah, but like with that game, it didn't get announced like before the game came out. It got announced a bit later. Same with Mario Kart 8 back on the Wii U, and a lot of these DLC packs like. A month, 6 months later, like, all right, here it is.
Splatoon 2, nearly all of Splatoon 2's extra content is post content. Like Octo Expansion was completely made after the original game, all that kind of stuff.
And it is it is worth pointing out there too. If you don't want to get this game at launch, it is a Ubisoft game. So 2 months later, it'll be a lot cheaper.
It's gonna go on sale.
It'll be like 50% off.
Crazy.
So
it's like I didn't want to get the game first because I didn't want to get Mario Rabbids at first because it was $60, and then we're going through a store one day, and I'm like, why is the game $20?
Yeah,
I snatched it up. It's like, dang.
How weird does it feel seeing a Mario game that cheap? It's like, what the hell?
It does. It feels like I need to capitalize on this steal.
Yeah. And I mean, you can buy it pretty commonly now for dirt cheap on the eShop when sales go up. It's quite admirable because it's actually quite a well-selling game. I think they said they sold about 7 million plus copies, which
7.5.
Yeah, which for an Ubisoft game, like, I mean, it seems kind of like numbers, but like when you're playing with another person's IP like that, you know. That doesn't happen very often. Like when you think of games like Cadence of Hyrule and stuff like that, like as good as they were, they didn't reach anything near that.
Yeah. And think about like
I feel like
Ubisoft, how blessed are they that they get to make a Mario game? Like no other publisher gets to play with Mario apart from like Square Enix with their Mario RPGs. Like nothing like this. No collaboration where it's just like, here is Mario. Like with the original game, Miyamoto's like, just make sure he does something apart from jumping. Jumping's my thing. So Ubisoft do what Ubisoft do is like, well, what do? We make The Division. We make Tom Clancy games. Let's give Mario a gun.
Let's just go a new direction with him.
Yeah.
I definitely Mario and Rabbids was the first like, oh my gosh, you're allowing this to happen, because ever since CDI era, where it was like,
oh god,
feared child burnt the burnt child fears the flame, where you don't want to collaborate with people and they produce absolute crap. But also, Nintendo was pretty correct when it came to that first Mario movie, where they were like, do whatever you want. You can't damage our brand. And it's true. Their brand was unfazed by the Mario movie. Yeah. It's a miracle that it wasn't, but they're slowly warming up to like, okay, we trust you. Just don't mess up.
Yeah, and they got the first one really right. And it looks like this game's going to be fantastic. Because the gameplay we saw was only, they pointed out that in the actual trailer that's pre-alpha, so it is pretty early on as well. So there's still, the game comes out in 2022 with no release date. So there's, they've still got time to add a lot more polish to it, and I think it looks fantastic now. If they said this was the final version and it comes out in 2 months, I'll believe them. So just knowing that it's not coming out for a little bit more and what we're seeing is pre-alpha, that's pretty amazing. So we also got an announcement for Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. And I was just like, holy shit, guys, they're bringing out Advance Wars again. Intelligent Systems, they sort of just, say, oh, well, Fire Emblem's our thing now. We don't have to worry about Advance Wars ever again.
Who needs these guys? They're dispensable.
Yeah, so we're getting remakes of 1 and 2 put into one game. The game isn't a pixel art anymore. It's very much like a 3D aesthetic. I've never really played it.
It looks good.
It does, yeah. I haven't played Advance Wars before, so I'm keen to give this one a go when it comes out. It's just coming out later this year. It doesn't have a release date yet. There will be more.
Watch the people. Yeah. Watch the people who are into Golden Sun fucking cry like babies, though. Holy shit, they're going to be mad.
Oh, well. Get that. Well, look, they'll get their day one day. The Advance Wars fan base, it's their day today. Let's give them that. I am interested, though, like, is it being developed by Nintendo or Intelligent Systems, or has it been outsourced to another company? I'm not quite sure.
Considering that Intelligent Systems isn't working, we haven't heard tale of a new Fire Emblem, and they're also working on WarioWare. I'm guessing that they're taking a break and that they're working on smaller projects like Advanced Wars and WarioWare. I
assume there will be like a Fire Emblem remake for the next Fire Emblem entry that comes to Switch. So they're probably working on that as well.
It's a big mystery right now.
Yeah, it's just,
Which one will it be? Is it coming? Are we just going to ignore it?
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised we didn't see Fire Emblem today, but obviously we saw Advance Wars instead. We don't need too much turn-based stuff from the same developer. Okay. But yeah, I'm really happy this has come out. A lot of people have been wanting Advance Wars to come back for years at this point, and Fire Emblem's been sort of stamping that flame out.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're finally at the end, and obviously, The Legend of Zelda. We're all here, sort of been like, all right, Breath of the Wild
this
sequel.
This is why we're here.
Here we are. Anuma came up again. And Anuma burnt us at the start of the year. He said, oh, I know you're all here for the sequel, but don't have it at the moment. Sorry, boys. So, come on, Anuma. What are you doing to us? So he pops up again with the exact same background. I'm like, you know what? You burnt me once, Anuma. Will you do it twice? And he says, oh, well, I'll tell you what. We've got some info for Horror Warriors Age of Calamity expansion pass. And the expansion pass, I haven't really touched Age of Calamity. It's one of those games I've got to get to. So the expansion pass isn't really even on my radar, but it looks really cool. Just seeing Link's new weapon being like the Guardian's legs as nunchucks looks
it's
awesome.
Attacking with bones.
It looks really cool. And seeing Zelda come on the what's the bike called again, Bryce? I said it before, but
the Master Cycle.
Master Cycle, yeah. So I thought that looked sick. Oh my god, got to hurry up and get through this game so I can get the DLC so I can ride around on
Vroom
that.
vroom.
But yeah, really cool. So that comes out very soon. That's coming out on the 18th of June, so a couple of days from the presentation itself. But are you guys, so Bryce, I know you're yet to finish Age of Calamity as well, but Delfino, where do you sit on the expansion pass, and have you dug into Age of Calamity?
Well, I actually haven't bought it yet. I'm still marooned on playing Fire Emblem Warriors because I really like that one. But definitely Age of Calamity. It's definitely Hyrule Warriors, but with more Breath of the Wild inspired, like ad-libbing and impromptu moments. Each of the characters, they're very different from each other, and you got to learn all their intricate combos and stuff. And it's like, it's a lot. It's a big investment to go into Age of Calamity. But the expansion pass, it's pretty much an expected deal from any Warriors game now. It's like the base game comes out and we're like, okay, what about the expansion pass? It's like, okay. We were actually expecting other playable characters this round because of the way they presented Robbie and Pura in the front. We were thinking it's going to be them. And they're like, no, you get to play as a random Guardian. It's like, great. Oh, no, this Guardian. What the heck?
To be fair, playing as a Guardian looks really cool. That's a pretty cool.
It does.
To add.
But also, you got to think about in Warriors games speed and vulnerability, because it's going to be a big target to get hit with a bunch.
Do you have to get hit in the eye to make it count?
Well,
that'd be cool.
I don't know if you can get critical hits on yourself in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, but definitely there is an unlockable character, which I won't spoil because it's one that wasn't broadcast very well, but they have a ginormous hitbox. Absolutely massive.
Right, yeah.
And it's like all of the bonuses that come with them go away when it's like, but you're just a damage sponge. You just die so quickly, even though you got a giant health bar, because you just can't survive with it. But I'd say this expansion pass is as expected. That's about the attitude with it. Yep. It's like, yep, we better be getting the other people soon. We better be.
So it doesn't excite you too much?
I haven't been playing it, so not super.
Well, fair enough. What about The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD? That comes out soon, in July. Did you play Skyward Sword on Wii?
Yes, I did. I bought it. My sister and I bought it for $70 USD with the fancy gold Wiimote. Mm-hmm. She dropped it not because of motion controls. I feel like that's a common critique of Skyward Sword, is all those gosh darn motion controls just ruin it for everybody. It's like, no. You just have to have patience and control with the motion controls. You can't just blindly wave it. You gotta be very patient and time it out. And suddenly it's as easy as pie. But we already bought Skyward Sword and we're not about to buy it again. So pass.
Yep, fair enough. Yeah. So they just,
I mean, you guys are already bet on buying it because that's what you do.
Yeah, for that reason alone, really. I don't know how keen I would be otherwise. But yeah. Yeah, Bryce and I were like, yeah. Well, I enjoyed Skyward Sword. I think it's got a great story. Anyone that hasn't played it, definitely give this one a go. Definitely give it a go. It is a bit of a slog in some bits. It is very repetitive in the way it works. But if you're a big Legend of Zelda fan, or you're just looking for some pretty good dungeons, I think this is definitely worth picking up if you haven't played it before. But it's a game for me where it's just like I don't think I'll enjoy playing it again.
Yeah. You have to play it for the lore. Like, that's why you have to play it once.
Do you have to play it though?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yep.
I would say it is a game that makes the Master Sword and why it is the Master Sword, a very prevalent thing.
Yeah,
Um,
everything like the
Yeah.
Triforce, the Master Sword,
yeah, that's
like
At the end of the day, like it is the game for lore, but that is also its inherent problem is that it
Yeah.
only really cares about the lore. The whole rest of the game is lacking in so many areas that it's a little troublesome. Like, you know,
I
um,
think it's fine to have played it before Breath of the Wild, but it's so hard to go back to it because you're gonna be looking at mountains and you're gonna be like, why can't I jump? Where's the jump
uh-huh,
button?
yeah,
Why can't I climb?
yeah.
Why do I gotta go this dumb way? I want to go my way, not how the game keeps telling me to solve it. The thing is, the game keeps telling you to do things in a set way. It's like, no, I want to solve it my way. Why do I have to solve it your way? It's quite annoying.
yeah, it was the game for me where playing Skyward Sword, I'm like, the Legend of Zelda series, it's done this formula since Ocarina of Time. It needs to change. And I think a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
felt that way. And the Zelda team, Anuma, they heard it. And that's why we got Breath of the Wild, because of how
Mm-hmm.
sort of like, all right, this game is, it needs to be better and needs to change. So that's my take on
Mm-hmm.
Skyward Sword
I think
until we play it again.
I think the thing is like because I get the urge to go back and play it every now and then, much to my deepest regrets. But the thing is with Skyward Sword is that it was lacking in a lot of ways, without any questionable doubt. But its biggest problem was that it had nothing. And like that, when you compare it to like Wind Waker, which was on the GameCube, and you know stuff like that with the Great Sea, that tackled the same idea as the sky, which was the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing with Skyward Sword. It's like, oh, you're in the sky. Here's your loft
Yeah, you
wing. Like, go for the
fly.
flying. There's nothing in the sky. There's nothing there. It is
It's
barren.
annoying. Octoroks occasionally.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's barren and empty.
there's a few small
It had
islands to
nothing.
land on, but like there's a few.
Nothing
Maybe
like the
you'll run
Wind
into
Waker though.
Beetle, but
Yeah,
yeah.
nothing like Wind Waker.
Wind
Yeah.
Waker had something on every tile, an island and a treasure chest in each tile. You could
Hmm.
guarantee yourself on that.
Skyward Sword had none of that. And then like, you know, you only had three main areas in the world below, and those three main areas were reused consistently. And it was
Consistently.
it you know,
I'll say the
you
best one to revisit was the desert
hmm.
because they really transformed the desert.
Yeah, with the time
But
mechanics.
the
That yeah.
but the forest and volcano, it's just like
They literally ran it so far out of ideas that they were like,
just flood
shit.
it.
Yeah, that's shit, guys. What do we do now? It's like, oh no, just fucking fill it with water. So they did that, and it made the whole thing just more annoying. And I'm like,
Did.
cool, fantastic. And unfortunately, that was 90% of Skyward Sword. Was
Yeah.
why? Like, it was a questionable
90%
decision.
is filler, and the way that it tells you about the filler is that it's like, oh, we didn't tell you? It's like, yeah, you didn't. Terrible at communicating things to me, game.
Yeah.
Like, so the end, I split Skyward Sword into act. There's find the find Zelda again,
Yeah, don't
get
spoil
the
it.
Triforce.
Yeah.
It's just they're just vague acts. Act 3 is the biggest grocery list in all of existence. And it's just so annoying to play through. And you
Yeah.
finally do it, and the game's like, you sure took your time. You didn't do it good enough. Why didn't you do it good enough? And you're just like, I'm done with you, game. Stop yelling at me. I did exactly what you wanted. Each
Mhm.
time you sent another stupid misdirection my way, and you're gonna yell at me, I'm done. I know the final boss is right there, but I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done with you.
Yeah.
It had a lot of ideas that it did not execute correctly, and they filled a lot of time, which was the
A
problem.
lot of time.
That being said, like, you know, when we talk about it and we're like, yeah, you should play Skyward Sword, it's simply because its lore is something that needs to be experienced in its own way.
Maybe for the sword, but I don't feel that way about the story itself.
Yeah.
It's like
um,
Danganronpa. Just watch someone else play it if it's that important to know.
It
And
does have
just
it
read
does
up
have
on
like
it.
some really great moments as well, like just through its puzzles.
Groose is the best.
Yeah, great
I will
characters. A lot of the dungeons, and they're not
half
my
great
favorite, but
characters.
yeah,
I feel like they really set up Zelda to be something different, like they did in Spirit Tracks. This is the age of
Mhm.
Zelda being a character and not just a goal at the end. But
Yeah.
then they just turn her into a goal.
yeah.
It's like, where'd she go?
But then on top of that, though, like, just thinking about that, it also has some of the more unique boss fights in the series. Like,
definitely, yeah.
I can think back to most Skyward Sword bosses, and the only one I could kind of say that I was like, "Fuck you," was the Stalking pirate. I hated him. He was
He was a
he was
mini boss,
yeah,
not
he was
a
nothing but
boss
annoying.
boss.
I know, but you know what I mean by that. Like,
I
he
mean, the
was
one that was
annoying.
annoying to me was the second one, the second boss, because you're like on a giant slope. You gotta throw bombs at it. It's the most like,
It was
I'm
fun
getting
though.
real mad at you game. It's
I had
getting
fun with that boss. I
annoying.
think it was good. Like,
Oh, I got
I
annoyed with that one.
I think when I look at Skyward Sword, I'm pretty sure I was the first person to be like, at least out of like me and Drew and like the people that we knew that were playing it, I was just like,
Hmm.
this is fucking repetitive. And then like people were like, they were complaining about like
What?
Twilight Princess and the Wolf sections. They were like, oh, the Wolf sections of Twilight Princess are so repetitive. I'm like, I don't find them too bad, right? And then
Yeah,
it wasn't until Skyward Sword and you had that
I
the
think.
same thing, but in Twilight
Yeah,
Princess, it was fucking far more infuriating because as soon as you got hit once, you were sent back and had to fucking do it all over again.
I think the big difference is where in the game those strange elements are placed. Because
Uh
it's
huh.
like Twilight Princess had it all in the beginning, and then
Hmm.
you get it all out of the way, and you never have to do it again. And it's more creative puzzles between the wolf and Link and
And
that
I
kind
had
of
stories
stuff.
attached in them too.
Yeah, and that too. Twilight Princess just dumps that on you in the middle of the game. You're like, excuse me, this is
Mhm.
not fun. And also, it's a little bit of a spoiler for Skyward Sword. Kitty climbing about. Oh.
He's gonna
Uh,
sit there now.
there's a part where the game pulls a Forsaken Fortress on you and it
Hmm.
steals all your stuff. And
Yeah.
in Wind Waker, it feels a lot better because you had just gotten your sword and you're not even that used to using it yet. You just started your adventure and boom, taken away from you. So you gotta stealth and sneak around just to get that little bit back.
Mm.
This happens in Skyward Sword when you have every single item in the game. And it
Oh
just
yeah.
feels like, excuse me, why are you doing this? This is really annoying and not placed well at all. You need to have stealth sections early in the game when you don't have too much to lose
I,
versus late in the game when you're just like, excuse me,
yeah.
this is not fun. I
The
am
Forsa-
struggling.
the Forsaken Fortress was annoying enough. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
but
I
then
didn't
you
want to
go
do it
back to the
again.
Forsaken Fortress with your items and you feel accomplished. Like
Yeah, that's right.
I'm
Yeah,
doing better than I am now. I can go places with the grappling hook
and
that I
they
had
do it
to
in
avoid
reverse order.
before.
They do it
Is
in
completely
literal reverse order.
reversed and it pays off to little
Yeah,
avail.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can move on from Skyward
That's how I
Sword.
feel about Skyward Sword.
So yeah,
That's
Skyward
enough
Sword
ranting about
coming out
Skyward
July.
Sword.
Everyone look forward to it. Everyone look forward to
Hooray.
it. So I can't believe that we're almost hour and 40 minutes into the show, Bryce. We haven't talked about
Oh my
the
gosh.
main thing. So
Oh my
there's
gosh.
a Game & Watch. That's the biggest thing, Bryce. We're getting a new Legend of Zelda Game & Watch. It's coming in November 12th.
Oh damn.
It's got 3 Legend of Zelda games on it. The original Legend of Zelda, Legend of Zelda 2, and Link's Awakening, the original version from the Game Boy. and also comes also comes with an exclusive game of what's its name again? I've got the Game and Watch game, but it's got Vermin. Yes,
Vermin.
thank you. It's got Link as the character instead of Mr. Game and Watch. But anyway, you got some hardware to waste your money on. I think someone pointed out that Nintendo said there's going to be no hardware at their Nintendo Direct. This was hardware at the Nintendo Direct. Nintendo lied to us, guys. There was hardware there. There's a little Game and Watch. But so let's finally
glorified alarm clock. Duh.
Yeah. So I've still got my Mario one, but I haven't taken it out of the box. It's still in the box. It's going to be a collectible item one day. It's going to fund my retirement. Doubt it. So Anuma, finally, he said, all right, boys, ladies and gentlemen, girls, everyone in between, we have a brand new trailer to show you. It's been 2 years since I bloody showed you Breath of the Wild 2. And we got some more information. And Bryce, Delfino, when this sort of started and we saw some gameplay, my jaw just dropped. Just of how just Link falling from the sky, how there appears to be like sort of an area above Hyrule that existed in Breath of the Wild. Immediately reminding us of Skyloft from Skyward Sword, and maybe putting into context why we are getting a Skyward Sword remake. And apart from just being a product for Nintendo to sell and make plenty of money on, since they're charging full price for a Wii game all the way back from 2011, maybe they are re-releasing it as well as context for maybe what's happening here in this sequel to Breath of the Wild. So Bryce, you're the biggest man for conspiracies and just putting together information and trying to put together the story. Yeah, the guru for The Legend of Zelda. Like, I absolutely love just hearing what you have to say, just what you have to put together. So as soon as this trailer dropped, you're looking through it, you're scanning through it, you're on Reddit checking out what other people are saying. You've already set your bloody wallpaper on your computer to a scene from the trailer.
That shot of Hyrule with the castle floating in midair.
Yeah. So Bryce,
a live wallpaper too.
I'll chuck it to you, Bryce. So you lead the conversation for this one if you've got your points you want to hit on. But just before we get into that, what do you guys think from the initial trailer? So it's been a long time since we've seen this game. The game has been it's got a year put on it, 2022. So next year, whether that's first half, second half, don't know. So we still got some more context there, but what are we thinking off the bat after this trailer?
I'm thinking we're exploring a whole new territory. Something I was thinking about when I was not theory crafting, but just imagining what can be added to Breath of the Wild. And the answer was the Z-plane, vertical changes, because it was all about exploring the lands. And it's like, but what about the skies? Why can't we go up and see how things are?
Go to space.
Make flying easier than cheesing Rivali's Gale or getting on a high plane and just using your paraglider all the time. Let's make it more engaging. And I definitely think that is exactly what the point of this game is trying to do. It's emphasizing height, both the height in going up and also the problems lurking deep below.
Yeah, because Bryce, I remember you were bringing up some points like you think that there's going to be catacombs under Hyrule and Link's access them through Hyrule Castle, and that's where Ganon is sort of residing, and that's what we see in the initial trailer that we saw in 2019. But like you said before the show, Bryce, like he's like, oh, I didn't even didn't think about going upwards. Like it's like the reverse of what you said, like.
I predicted right enough. I predicted right enough that there'd just be a second map to engage upon, as opposed to like whatever. But the difference was that it's not underground; it's in the sky. Yeah. So it definitely caught me by surprise, I suppose. And I think like there's definitely a lot to analyze in the trailer, and people are sort of already doing it. But when it comes to this game, like it's very much going the cryptic route, and it has since that first trailer. There's a lot to uncover. There's a lot of flash cuts. There's a lot of, et cetera, et cetera. And this trailer's not so much that. It's mostly straightforward and just shows you sort of what the game's going on and like all that. But I think the minute details is kind of what's important here. Like it is sort of a facade in its own right, in that you could probably uncover a fair bit if you just look at it with a bit more attention. So I've watched this trailer several times and like scanned through it pretty thoroughly, as well as like reading up on Reddit while we were talking and setting up for the show immediately after, just to sort of like gauge what people are seeing that maybe I'm not. I think I've caught most of it so far. I'd like to probably go through the trailer bit by bit, and sort of just disengage like some of the stuff that maybe, or misconceptions that people seem to be having, because there's a lot of people going, "Oh, look, that person has their hair down. It's probably Zelda," and we're like, "No, it is definitely Link." There, there's a lot of people getting way too hype off this like straight away, and not really picking apart things very clearly.
Like,
So
especially it's obviously Link. Like, it's very obviously Link.
yeah, it's dead obviously Link, but people are getting so hyped off of just the trailer that it's sort of whatever. So I'll go through it bit by bit, and then if anybody wants to chime in, they are more than welcome to.
Yep.
So starting up the trailer was a little bit of a juxtaposition from what happened in the first one, in where there was the green arm that was sealing Ganon, grabbed Link's arm, which then, I guess, what it seemed to look like in the first trailer was the green arm grabbed onto Link and assimilated into his arm, replacing his current arm. Whereas here in this trailer, we actually see the Malice taking his arm. So it seems that maybe he's lost it and this thing has found a new host, which, as opposed to just taking over his arm, it seems to have just found a new host that has lost its arm. And the Malice has taken that away from him. Whether that has any contextual context or not, I'm not entirely sure. We can't really tell from the trailer. And then sort of as the trailer pushes forward, the Malice growing and sort of, signifying that things are changing and like powers rising and all that stuff. And we get another shot of Ganon sort of like waking up, and he's like, having a bit of a friggin' epiphany, like, I'm finally awake, Jesus Christ. But I'm not really sure. I'm starting to question, like, with these ties to the sky, I'm starting to question whether it is actually Ganon and not Demise. It could very well be, like, if we're tying this all back to Skyward Sword in some way, if Skyward Sword is being re-released for a reason, then it would have to be because of Demise or, what have you. To have something sealed away under Hyrule Castle, we know that historically Ganon has been sealed away in the Sacred Realm most of the time. So under the castle seems a bit far-fetched for a lot of reasons. I'm not... Correct me if I'm wrong, but in Skyward Sword, there was kind of just like this plane of existence where you killed Demise. Like, I don't think that it was ever really, truly established, was it?
I can't remember now. No, I can't.
Like, I'm obviously going to have
In
to...
Breath of the Wild, you were fighting the buildup of malice that accrued over the ages. It just into the pig beast Ganon, because it was so sick of reincarnating over and over and getting nowhere.
But that's the key word, though, reincarnating, right? Like, no matter what, it just seems like reincarnating, it usually comes from the fact that Demise laid that curse in Skyward Sword. And every reincarnation of Ganondorf is not really a reincarnation of Ganondorf, it's a reincarnation of Demise. But we didn't find that out until Skyward Sword. So I'm starting to question whether they're looking at a bigger bad again this time. Like, it doesn't feel like that Dark Beast Ganon that was sort of residing we know that Ganondorf had a ton of power, and like no matter what, he's always had a ton of power. But that much power,
He's got the Triforce
I
of
don't think
power.
it's.
He's got a lot of power.
Yeah, but that's more of a manifest than he's ever typically had. So I'm starting to question now, like whether it is actually Ganondorf that's maybe the thing that's hidden under the castle and not just Demise.
Well,
Um,
in this current trailer, you're able like he got like a flash shot of what I assumed was Ganon like rising up. Have you been able to freeze that shot? I haven't been able to look at it in depth
yeah,
just
I
yet.
have. Yeah,
Does
yeah.
it look like Ganon to you, or it does look like someone else, or
Well, Demise is meant to look like Ganondorf anyway in his own right.
yeah.
Like, no matter what, like even though Demise is his own entity and has actual no attachment to the Gerudo or whatever, he is very Gerudo looking in nature regardless. So, and with the art style change, it's really hard to, I guess, match these things together. It's really really uncertain at this point. And you know, thing is it more than likely is Ganondorf. Like I'm not going to put sugarcoat on it or anything like that and say it's definitely Demise because I would be probably dead wrong about that. But um, if the Skyward Sword tie-in release does have something to do with it, then it's a possibility on the table, especially with the Sky Islands being a thing. It seems to be remnants of Skyloft in some ways. I don't know how much truth there is that. Again, we're working off like a minute and a half of trailer, which makes discerning it pretty hard. But it is such a like packed trailer full of information of different things that you start to question like why these things are in place, I suppose.
Yeah.
Next season is Zelda Falling. Like, we knew that was happening anyway. There was a question as to whether it was Link falling or Zelda falling and Zelda catching Link in the first trailer, or whether it was Link trying to catch Zelda and then. But we know it's Zelda. We know Zelda's underground now. That's how it is. Whether we're going to follow her up and try and find her afterwards,
Poor
we know
Zelda.
it's Zelda that's going down the pit. And about 20 seconds in, as I'm sort of slowly sifting through this by holding the space bar and skipping frames, you've got Link falling through the sky, quite high up. So it's kind of interesting because I think they have actually just like doubled the skybox and inserted more islands and stuff like that in there above Hyrule. I don't think they've actually segregated it as its own map. At least not yet. And as we were sort of saying earlier, no Monolith Soft this year, so it could be that they're working on making this a possibility. Monolith Soft have absolutely made a huge skybox work before. Just go play Xenoblade Chronicles X to find that out. That game is made to be played with a ginormous skybox for what it's worth because you're flying everywhere. So definitely on the possibilities list. You've got Link falling. He's looking pretty damn scraggy this time around. Like more so than what you would have thought he would have after waking up a 100-year sleep. But yeah, here we are. His hair's down. Lost his ponytail. I guess hair ties break when you get infected by malice. Who knows?
He's got to keep
He's
some spares.
wearing like a. he's wearing a toga. He's wearing a toga-like outfit, which sort of seems to suggest that he's kind of had to struggle to get back from where he is. Like he's had to make do with what he's got. He's you could see that his arm has been replaced with like a very Guardian looking kind of prosthetic. With some sort of tribalic tattoos like moving down his arm. So a lot of people was sort of brought question to like whether the arm that was sealing Ganon / Demise, whoever it was Shikatek, or whether it was Zonai. Because Zonai are a tribe in Breath of the Wild that was largely untouched upon. We only saw sort of like relics in the forest, and then you had the Lost City, where if anybody remembers that shrine being an absolute pain in the ass, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Um, and you know, it's still not entirely clear whether it is either one or the other, but given the tribalistic nature of the stuff that's sort of running down the other half of his body where his arm is, like it could be Zonai. They don't look very Sheikah-ish tattoos, so who really knows? Falling through the sky, we see Link with the paraglider, hair still down, and heading towards some islands. In the background, there's one that looks very much Templish. Like you've got very atypical floating islands, like you would sort of expect when you're talking about like a Skyloft sort of situation. But then there's one that's half hidden behind the cloud, but you can see the roof of it, and it looks more like a stylized temple. And it's kind of important to note, I think, that there's a lot of structures around there that look like your Japanese styled awnings that you find in front of temples and such like that. You could find them in Kakariko Village, but they look a little different here, which is kind of questionable as to whether the Sheikah had anything to do with it, or whether it was Zonai, or whether it was sort of like early tribalistic stuff from Skyloft. If it has anything to do with it, not entirely sure, but the structure itself looks quite large, like it could actually be a dungeon, which would kind of line up with the way things are going, because I think by the judgment that they've been working on this since the first game, and that they're actually reusing a lot of the groundwork from Breath of the Wild. It's taken 4 years to get to this point, which sort of leads me to believe that this is mostly going to be a dungeon to dungeon experience with a like really big overworld as it was before.
Yeah, just with the land above in the sky.
Mhm.
Apart from being in the sky, is there anything that points to Skyloft from Skyward Sword, that it is maybe some leftovers of that land? Because
Not what you can see, because all of them are in the distance, and like this is where things get a little bit tough, I guess, because the reason I say it could be Demise is because when you think back to Skyward Sword and you think about like the statue of the goddess and everything coming crashing back down to its rightful place, right? Not everything did, right? Skyloft still remained. The statue of the goddess went. Zelda and Link went to the end, like at the end of Skyward Sword, Zelda and Link went down to Hyrule to establish it as its own place, and the people who were in Skyloft on the remaining islands stayed in Skyloft.
Yeah,
that's that was something we were sort of discussing before, but I'd read back up on it. I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's what happened. They went down to establish. Everybody else stayed up there, like Gabora, or Zelda's father, but not an owl, stayed up there with his people to sort of, I guess, stay safe in Skyloft while they tried to establish something down on the ground floor. Again, everything's sort of in the distance, so it's kind of hard to tell. But with the thematic theme of Skyward Sword being, being taken from a safe haven in the sky to sort of a devastated world down below or whatever, and the constant theme of like rising and falling land. The whole premise of this is that instead of just walking out the castle like whatever is underneath there, whether it is Ganon or Demise, has just risen the whole thing entirely and is using it as his own domain, which is kind of like, well,
yeah, you just
the only person that did that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you just see like using his energy to like just push the castle up and hold it up there.
Well, yeah, and the only person in history to do that before was the goddess Hylia.
Yeah. What makes it like they're bringing up the castle, and I guess like these other bits around Hyrule are, bits of land that have also risen with the castle.
Mm-hmm.
So even a theory could be because like it's kind of getting into lore of Skyward Sword. Is getting maybe a bit towards spoilers, but basically, Skyloft in Skyward Sword was risen for a particular reason.
Yeah.
And this could be before then. Even this could be the a game before Skyward Sword even. But I guess Breath of the Wild wasn't before Skyward Sword, and this is a sequel to that. So I guess that doesn't work either. But
Breath of the Wild is a culmination of like they've confirmed that it's the culmination of all timelines into one thing.
Yeah.
Which, you know, if you walk around Hyrule in Breath of the Wild, you pick up like the Twilight Mirror, the fucking desert thing.
Lon Ranch from Ocarina of Time. Yeah, there's areas from a lot of places. Yeah.
Literally everywhere. And I think the reason it's so compelling as evidence that it could be Skyloft is because later on in the trailer, which I'll get to, but there doesn't seem to be any worked ground. So like the castle is the only thing that is really considered worked ground out of the world, whereas like later on there is nothing on the ground that seems to be gone. But again, I'll explain the scenario as it sort of goes on. Yeah. Link flying towards Island and this structure, which, you know, looks pretty cool. There's a shot of Link sort of just having a jog and looking up in the air and seeing like islands floating in the sky high above him, which sort of like pertains again to the fact of how big the skybox is going to be. A few people on Reddit looked at this shot here and were like, "Oh, long hair, please don't tell me I'm the only one that sees Zelda in this shot," and it's absolutely not. Sorry. Like, you only got to look at the arm. It's Link. It's definitely Link.
Yeah.
His hair's just down.
Just like
don't worry about it.
With the very first shot of like Link diving into the world, going through the clouds, that is like the same animation, the same sort of position Link's in as he's like going towards the ground from Skyward Sword. So it's like, I think like if anything, that's just a hint towards the Skyward Sword similarities as well.
Yeah, that's right. Skydiving head on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also the position you take when you just skydive in general. Yeah. But the camera perspective of having it right behind you, definitely. It's like in Skyward Sword when you drop down to Parafold.
A little further on from that, we got a structure up next, which a lot of people seem to be going, "Oh, it's an enemy," but I don't think it is. I think it's something along the lines of Cherry from the original Breath of the Wild, in that it is a guardian automaton that is meant for a specific purpose that is not combat. So Cherry was made for, you know, making weapons and stuff like that, whereas this thing could be like something that helps guide you around like this floating sea of islands or what have you. It doesn't actually look like an aggressive threat. It's not really made to look like it. The thing about like enemy design in most video games is that you can really tell when something is meant to be aggressive and like feared, and that's especially true in something like Zelda. Things that are meant to be fought will look like they are aggressive and that they are supposed to be taken down by a powerful hero of some kind, right? And it's not. It doesn't look like that. It looks like a friendly automaton. So
it doesn't have like a big weak spot on it. So
no, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I'm going to take and it's got a broom on like its midsection as a symbol, which leads me to believe that it is like an automaton made for a purpose for something like that, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Further in the shot, we see a very interesting take on Talus, one of the big rock enemies, where the bokoblins have built a structure upon a talus, and now they can ride the talus into battle, which is fucking cool. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
They've definitely grown up and learnt a bit. These bokoblins also show some signs of aging and development in as opposed to what they did in Breath of the Wild, because bokoblins only had small horns. But all of these bokoblins have large horns,
They're growing up.
which means that like either some time has passed and like the moblins that have managed to sort of stick around within the world and stuff like that are more or less transitioning into um moblins. I kept saying moblins, but bokoblins. These bokoblins are transitioning into moblins,
Yeah.
as opposed to like it's showing signs of age. Like things have happened in the few years that Link has been like either trapped underground or wherever he's been to get so raggedy. This talus gets up. Doesn't look like there's an easy way to get up on that talus because there's wood spikes everywhere. So it'd be very interesting to see how you're going to take that down.
Yeah, it's got Link gliding down, so maybe he was trying to glide onto it, but he just goes past it.
Yeah, that's dead on. So you would probably have to get up to higher ground to get on top of there, kill the moblins, and then hopefully, take it down by the stone. Then it moves on to a shot showing Link's arm again, and it's sort of settling into its roots. So in the first trailer, it was like glowing green after this thing had grabbed him, had like soaked into his arm like friggin' red cordial to towel paper. It's making its mark and it's staying where it's staying, which means that this is his arm now. And it follows up immediately into a shot where it shows a new power, a new rune power, but this time, like if you watch Link before he does it, you'll notice he doesn't use a Sheikah Slate to do it. It's all in his arm.
Yeah.
A lot of the concept art in the making of a hero and stuff like that showed this as an original concept for Breath of the Wild that they wanted to use originally, in that his arm would be used to transform into stuff like bomb launchers and stuff like that to fire at the enemy, or different items like hook shots. It seems like they wanted to do that concept. Whether that concept is going to stay the same and they're going to try and do that as well, I'm not too sure, or whether they're just going to stick with doing new stasis powers. It definitely seems at the moment it's just stasis powers, but I mean that could change in the future. This stasis power looks interesting. It can sort of
do multiple
reverse.
do like multiple items, is it? Or is it reversing like time of like an object?
It's reversing time on an object,
Yeah.
which is exactly what it's doing. So it's got a steel spike ball that's rolling down. He uses it on the thing, and instead of just like freezing it like stasis usually does, it instead reverses exactly what that object was doing at the time. So rolling down the hill, he reverses it back at the moblins and bokoblins and knocks them out. So new stasis power, cool. Moving on to the next clip, which is where it gets really interesting. There seems to be a shot of Link underground, and he's back in his normal garb with a little bit more of a leather breastplating, which I guess maybe you would sort of get back into form and get his tunic fixed up and like all that stuff and sort of get back on your quest to liberate Hyrule again. But this time he's underground. He's fighting what seems to be like a giant worm hanging from the ceiling with a shield that has a dragon head on it and can be used as a flamethrower.
Yeah, so his arm can like morph into other things.
Well,
by the looks of it,
it's on the shield. It's on the shield, so I'm not entirely sure that that's the case, because the shield, his right arm is the one. His right arm is the one that's being used. And Link is right-handed in this game.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
Well, it shows that when he's using the stasis ability, he puts out his right arm to use the power, and he's using his left arm with when he's doing the flamethrower. So it looks like it is from maybe a separate item if it is a shield or something. But he's not really holding it like a shield. He's holding it like something else.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's holding it like a big I don't know what I'm thinking of, but it's like a big glove where it's like a fist, but the fist goes to your elbow.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
yeah.
thinking of arms,
You could be.
where you got big old arms.
Ooh. Um, but yeah, so that's interesting. Obviously, new ways to initiate combat and the elements, which Breath of the Wild has always been about, is manipulating the elements to your advantage to do some really wacky shit. So that's definitely cool. We then see what is probably the most divisive part of the trailer, and the one that I was actually talking about. We see a water droplet deform back to its. We see a puddle deform to its state of a big droplet, and we see Link flying up towards the sky, but instead of just like flying up above a platform, landing on top of the platform, he instead hits the platform directly, passes straight through it, and then comes out the other side in a puddle, which says that that is how he's getting up to the sky by a means of basis. There will probably be bodies of water on the ground.
He's evaporating himself. Says, "Wee."
Yeah, literally, yeah. There are bodies of water on the ground that he can use to quick travel up to the skies, and the platforms in the skies. Whether there will be other methods as well, there probably will, but that's just one of the more interesting ones that really sort of catch the attention. But anyway, up on this platform, the creepy music starts again, and everybody's sort of reverse engineering that audio to try and see if it's saying anything.
It probably
It
is.
Well,
kind
you
of
know, when
is.
you play a record backwards, it tells you some demonic chants.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stairway to Heaven.
Remember Skyward Sword? Its main theme was Zelda's Lullaby backwards. So like they've got a
Yeah.
tendency of doing this type of thing. And the original trailer to this game also had weird music that could be reverse engineered too, couldn't it? I forgot what it was, but it had like some weird demonic sort of tone to it. But once it was reversed, it turned into something. I can't remember what it was though.
Said something like "Help us, save us," and like some other cryptic
Yeah.
sort of messages.
Mhm.
But yeah, standing from this position and overlooking Hyrule, you can see the Thunder Plains underneath and the chasm not far away from it. And anybody that knows the chasm knows that's where the old Temple of Time was. But the more interesting thing about this shot is exactly what I was saying before, in that below where the floating islands should be, it doesn't look like there's any worked ground whatsoever. So that seems to suggest that these like sky islands have come from somewhere else, not the ground below. So it would be kind of interesting to see whether that does sort of all roll around and it comes like, oh, this is the remnants of Skyloft and the people who lived up there until they eventually went extinct, right? Because Breath of the Wild is set like pretty far forward. It could be said that the people of Skyloft were known as the Zonai, and that could be it, and that was sort of what it is. And the remnants of like the Zonai stuff down in Hyrule below were people who came from Skyloft to Hyrule to also try and migrate and ultimately failed, I guess. But I think the big central theme is that we heard a lot about the Sheikah in the last game. I think it's going to be very prevalent that we hear a lot about the Zonai in this one. There was sort of an unexplored concept, which definitely sort of has a tone here. But yeah, no work to ground below, which seems to suggest it. It'll be very interesting to see where it goes. Further on in the trailer, we get some bits of like more detailed shots of Hyrule Castle sort of crumbling away and like rising out the ground as the Malice is like aggressively pushing it out.
And we learn how the melee stage of Hyrule Castle was formed.
Indeed, we do. And then the final shot is just a still shot of Hyrule Castle floating above like all this Malice and a very pretty detailed Hyrule set at dusk. We had a look at a comparison shot of like in game to this earlier, and like I personally said that I thought it actually looks quite a lot clearer than the shot that you can currently take in game of the same spot. And whether that's I think it's down to removing a lot of the fog, which would there was like a draw distance type of fog used to make things that would probably look blurry as hell look less so by comparison if you looked in the distance in the original game. This is obviously not my confirmation, but if there is a Switch Pro, this could be, something coming from it. The draw distance seems a lot larger than what it was before. The details definitely clearly there, and yeah, it is genuinely just a very pretty shot that I put on my live wallpaper.
I would love to think that it's a Switch Pro, but I think what it probably comes down is just better optimization. Just it's no longer a Wii U game coming forward. They've had a lot more time with the engine and all that. They've had time to optimize it. I think that's more likely the case.
It could be,
but who knows?
It could be.
Who knows?
I'm
sick of Switch Pro talk. I want it.
I kind of am too. But if they're adding in a whole nother layer map, like there has to be some give, right? And it doesn't feel like there's a lot of give on that shot. So personally, I'm just like, could be. Yeah.
Well, there you go. God. When I saw that it was 2022, I'm like, oh, I kind of expected it, but man. Oh well, we got WarioWare. It'll get us there. Just keep on playing WarioWare until Zelda comes out.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Make your dreams come true in WarioWare.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, is there anything else we need to touch on before we finish up? Delfino, anything else you'd like to touch up on?
Well, I just realized, I was thinking about Tekken being in Smash. Tekken's got some groovin' music.
Oh, yeah,
and the Tekken Tag Tournament 2 song being in there, oh my gosh. That song is a true bop.
You'll be
very excited.
You'll be able to put your headphones on your Switch, put it in your pocket, go for a run. Really,
I never do that. I just
I
just trust my phone to find all the songs instead.
Yeah. It's pretty fun.
That's about it. I don't know. I'm quiet when it comes to Breath of the Wild 2, because at this point I'm just like, we don't know nothing.
Speculation is always fun though. It's always fun. Like even with even with the Switch Pro, like all this the rumors and that, like when we discuss it, we're not like this is definitely going to happen, because we're like, well,
100% theory crafting. You're not theory crafting.
No, it's just fun. It's just fun to talk about because and one day someone will be right. They'll say there's new hardware coming out, and Nintendo's like, tell you what, we're shipping something, boys.
Yeah,
and it'll come out, and they'll be right, and they'll say, guess what, I was right every single time. So no, you weren't. What about in 2021 when you said about it? So no, you weren't. Anyway, Bryce and I were running out of steam. It is 6:15 in the morning, and
time to wake up.
My God,
I don't even think I'm going to bed.
No, I'm not.
But
so,
I do have to do something about the washing.
This is not good. A sleepless night.
So before we go, I just want to touch on. Oh, sorry, Bryce. Before we go, I just want to touch on something. Mercury Steam, the Spanish developer that worked on Metroid Samus Returns on 3DS, has come out and said they are the primary developer for Metroid Dread. So
good on them.
I would figure that.
So pretty cool.
It's a great game.
Even though I think they've been acquired or something. I forgot what the news was when it came to Mercury Steam, but regardless, it's cool that they're developing this game as well. Obviously, Samus Returns was a great remake. So it's good that they're getting a chance to tackle their own game. But apart from that, guys, everyone, thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario episode 192. If you enjoy the show, you can do all the stuff. Review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Twitter. Go on the House of Mario Discord community where we met our lovely friend Delfino Jurians. Delfino,
Yeah.
Where can people follow you online? Where can people check out your podcast? All of that stuff. Plug away.
That's
Let everyone
right.
know.
I got a podcast and it's called The Super Show Saga. Are you guys going to remember that?
We do.
Yep.
I've got it here this time. So, look, I want to say
God.
we're so sorry. We felt so bad. We're like, oh yes, we'll shout out. We'll shout out
It's fun that
Delfino.
you're forgetting because Peach and I will be starting the show and we're like, this is the
Show.
Super Show Saga. This is great. Yeah, it's working perfectly fine. We remember the name of our own podcast. It's a podcast that is picking up where the Hard Drive podcast had left off when watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. And we're watching from Mario 3 onwards into Mario World. And then from then on, we'll see where we go. We come out with episodes every Monday, and every 15th of the month, we have a special bonus episode for reanimated collaborations when a group of artists get together to redo an episode from an old cartoon, either because it just needs improving, it's infamous, or they just love it to death. So today, we came out with a bonus episode for the Kirby Reanimated, which Peach actually had participated in back in the day. And you can find, I just post my podcasts on YouTube under Delfino Durians, one word, or Delfino Durians, two separate words. And we are the Super Show Saga. Delfino and Peach, Super Show Saga, because it's like Mario and Luigi, Super Show, Superstar Saga. So it's supposed to be making fun of it.
I think people who are fans of the Mario and Luigi RPGs will be like, yes. So I get that reference. Excellent. So,
I even got the font for the logo.
That's right. You did. You did.
I made sure of that.
Yeah, so I remember last time you're like, oh, I'm not really sure about selling my wares and that. Look, you're a professional now. You've done a few episodes and you're already a professional coming onto our shows, letting people know what to do. And last time you were on the show...
Well, that was before I had started it.
That's
was
right.
before I had started the podcast. So I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's mystery.
How are you finding it so far? You having a lot of fun doing it?
I'm finding so, yeah. We're recording a lot of episodes in batches ahead of time just because...
Yep.
Editing takes a bit, and also in case we need to take like a whole month off, we've got a whole buffer of episodes to keep us going. It's a lot of fun to watch the show. There are so many problems with it. At first I was like, oh, there's just one or two. You could stop at every frame and find a problem because they were not paid enough to care a lick about what they were being produced to do. Like, so we recently recorded Rainstorm, and there's a moment where they just drew all the Koopalings, but they're all just drawn with like half-hearted, I'm tired. What color are their faces again? Brown. Yeah, I need to sleep. Like, I'm imagining they're like, all right, gang, how are we doing? And like half of the animators are just face down, dead on the floor, because they so much to do all this work, but it's not all bad. Reanimateds are leagues better. So yeah, I'm on YouTube at there. I haven't put the podcast on Apple Podcasts or anything like that just because it's a lot more to manage than just a simple YouTube channel.
Yeah, oh, fair enough. And of course, if you the links and all that will be in the show notes. Go and check out her podcast, her YouTube channel. Please go and support her. Brand new podcast. It always warms my heart when new people get into it because it's a lot of fun. Bryce and I have been doing it for a few years now, and we're not going to stop anytime soon, I hope, but you never know. And after your last appearance on the House of Mario, you actually got picked up by Sean Capri. He brought you on We the Gamercast,
Yes.
and I thought that was awesome.
I did. I was so surprised how pleased he was. He's like, you're just the Red Bull. You're so energetic and great. I'm like, really? Just recounting old stories of mine, but all right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's a great episode. I love listening to it. Because I support those guys on Patreon, so it came up straight away. I'm like, oh, I might have been the first person to listen to it, maybe. Might be some other super fan out there who listen to it real quick.
Also,
But anyway,
maybe so.
let's let Bryce. Let's let Bryce get to bed. Delphino, you've probably got I don't know, some appointment
I think
or something.
I skipped lunch. Oops.
Yeah, well, have a late lunch. We're gonna have a normal breakfast at this point.
Completely normal.
Yeah.
Oh, so normal. I love E3 week. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I've got a Red Bull at 6:20 in the morning, which I opened at 3:00 or whatever. I don't know. Who cares?
The worst part is I can't even go to bed right away. I got to prep my kid for school.
Make sure
Damn it.
she gets to school on time.
Oh, she will.
Don't get
worry
into
about
any
that.
car crashes.
Well,
Don't worry about that at all.
this very
Drive
episode was meant to be
responsibly.
posted at 6:00. We're already past 20 past. Bloody hell.
Oops.
That's all right. It's all our
No.
fault. It's all our fault.
Oops.
Anyway, dragged it on long enough. Everyone, thank you very much for listening.
Yep.
Delphino, thank you very much for joining us. And Bryce, as always, love you very much.
You.
You.
I love you too.
Yep.
I'm going to bed now.
Right, the doors to House of Mario closed. Get out. I'm so tired.
Just crash on the couch.
Z.
It's like it's like the I'm baking breadsticks. Wake me up in 5 minutes when they go off. Okay. Hey, it's been 5 minutes. Drew, your breadsticks. Drew, the sticks. Get the sticks.